Howdy, folks. Your host Double J back here, coming at you live from my studio / Tijuanaburg residences, south of the border, that is. And I'm not talking about Taco Bell. Anyhow, your host of Operation GCD here, JJ Vance, right in the screen there. Not the vice president. Repeat, do not vote for me, folks. Also, part-time vampire hunter. Anyhow, folks of the interwebs, welcome back. We'll be your pilot and navigator for tonight's shenanigan-infused journey into this particular garbage can, dude. What do you got? Making psyops greater cheese again, sir? I'm a great big fat person. I appreciate that. This is not the purge, Jimmy Bobby, but I do appreciate y'all joining me here tonight to get a little GCD for Operation GCD Fridays. And I'm not going to lie to you, got a real barn burner on deck for y'all tonight. Got Phil Z, secret agent of the Dewey Decimal System. Sir, how are you doing? Welcome back to Operation GCD for your very first time.
I'm doing very well, thank you. How you doing, JJ?
I'm hanging in there.
All right.
Oh man, one dude's dreams, another dude's nightmare. I think that's how they say it. I
think so.
I'm hanging in there. I'm doing all right. I'm just glad to be off the road.
I hear you.
I appreciate your late notification joining us here tonight, sir. I definitely always enjoy your input and conversations here. I saw that you had you, Todd, and Clint were over there the other night on Clint's channel, but I fell asleep. I'm not gonna lie to you, I fell asleep. So
my god, I had to tap out. I literally typed. I'm like, I gotta go. It was 3 a.m. I was getting up at 5. I'm like, gotta go.
Oh, dude. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and Clint's still going, dude. I'm like, man, that dude's a hard charger.
He did over 5 hours.
Oh, easily, dude. Easily.
All respect in the world to him. I tapped out. I couldn't do it.
One time I was on a conversation with him and Todd. I went to sleep. I woke up. They're still going.
Oh, Todd went first. Todd ducked out, and then when Clint and a couple of the other people were really immersed, I was like, I gotta go. I said, I gotta get up. I'm literally in my recliner. My wife comes out and she's like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, the show's over. I said I did a podcast and a half. She loved it. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you joining me here tonight, sir, to get a little GCD, and we also have esteemed guest, the president, Martin Van Buren. I didn't know we were doing a seance tonight, sir. Welcome back to Operation GCD.
Eighth president, sir. Eighth president.
It's I think we could call him old Kinderhook if memory serves.
I believe that was his nickname. He's definitely Deutschman, right?
What's happening, boys?
Can't trust them Dutch.
That's too much.
Let's see, Vic's got a little hazy IPA going on.
Nice.
All right, am I correct?
Yes, sir. Yep, little Brooklyn brewery, not bad.
Nice. I'm just drinking tonic water, so no big deal. I'm just trying to, keep it real.
No tank.
Yeah, we got an esteemed guest here tonight. We got Mr. President Martin Van Buren. Sir, I'm not the vice president. Just want to do a little diplomatic relations to get the show started here. But I do appreciate y'all joining me here tonight to get a little GCD. We might also have MKane Ultra there. Kane B from Kane B's The Purge joining us here in a bit. He was dispatched to Tom Cruise's sex dungeon in emergency affairs. I don't get into these things, so hopefully he'll join us later. So, you've been sending me some recent books you've been diving into there, Phil. Besides the Idaho, well, I mean, obviously that Idaho 4 one's of a hot topic these days. But
there's a new documentary coming out on that, right?
Of what? Of Idaho stuff?
Yeah, a lot of stuff that hasn't been seen. Yeah, I had an ad for it pop up the other day.
Was it based on this FBI fellow's book, Chris?
Yes. What's the name?
He's Christopher Muppet.
It might have been Christopher something.
He was a sniper at Waco and Ruby Ridge.
Oh,
and
nice.
Then he worked intelligence operations at Guantanamo Bay.
Counterintelligence
that go in there.
Intelligence after they force feed someone through their rectum. That would pretty much count.
That's how they think that's intelligent. Dick Cheney's still from the grave saying, do some more of that rectum business, boys.
Hey, dude, Dick Cheney wasn't in the files, man. He was doing it for the love of the game. So
Dick Cheney ran them files, dude.
Dick,
Talk about somebody who'd be running an Epstein character. It would be somebody like Dick Cheney. He had his, much like Bush was the president during the Reagan administration. Dick Cheney was obviously the president during the Bush.
For sure.
Well,
now watch this drive.
You couldn't get anything better than when what was it?
That's
Bush,
it. Chris Whitcomb.
I'm still gonna read it. I did like a library request to get it, but I said I'd still read it. I wouldn't pay for it.
I wouldn't. Someone offered me a digital format of it. I said no, thank you. I'll just print it out and use it as Kindle. So, but I'll probably read it at some point.
But with Dick Cheney, nothing was more perfect than like every now and then when presidents have certain things, they kind of do like a quiet, like sub rosa 25th Amendment thing. It's not a permanent changeover. But when Bush was getting a colonoscopy, he turned over, he turned over, power to Dick Cheney. I was like,
Dick Cheney.
Yep, yeah. I said, well, you couldn't pick anything better than a colonoscopy and Dick Cheney.
Well,
yeah, I mean, I don't know who's
shooting at the, or they claimed there was a shooting. At least, and Bush claimed there was a shooting right there with the president at the same hotel as my old pal John Hinckley. When I say my old pal, I ran into him one time at a tropical smoothie cafe in Virginia. when that Muppet was supposed to be in prison for shooting the president, but it was the same hotel, and he even commented to TMZ about the situation. We live in a Muppet world, folks. John Hinckley, the guy that shot. There's a lot of questions about that circumstance.
Oh God, yeah.
But he was involved in it nonetheless.
Well, they were looking to charge him when Brady died to make it murder,
right?
Because off that. But I'm like, yeah, I don't think he fired all the bullets. I don't think
he fired any of the bullets. I think it was like a Sirhan, double Sirhan situations, right? Where he's got blanks, or one of my favorite presidential assassination attempts. When I say that, it's complete muppetry. It was circa May 5th, 1979. And this is leading up to that old Iran-Contra situation there, Mr. President. You're a big fan of that topic, but Jimmy Carter, then the president of the United States, allegedly, I wasn't there, I wasn't born yet, but he decided to make an impromptu visit to Los Angeles, the city of angels, and he scheduled 3 hours of all. There was only 3 networks. This was before cable TVs: ABC, CBS, and NBC. He scheduled 3 hours on all networks for an impromptu speech. He flies into Los Angeles, and then that afternoon, he's going on that night. That afternoon, he does a campaign stop at a local mall where 2 hobos fire at him with blanks.
Hobos.
Couple hobos. One's name's Lee Harvey. The other one's name's Osvaldo Sanchez.
How do I mean, I didn't even know that, JJ, but I was just guessing a JFK assassination for some reason.
For sure, dude.
It seems like
the same playbook. And this one, they rolled out a fellow from JPL, Jack Parsons Laboratories, as they often call it, colloquially speaking, there at the lab, I've been told. But this Cole Allen fellow, right? Is that his name? Cole? There's too many Cole
Allen. Cole Allen. Yep. Mm-hmm. They did mention his middle name. Crazy. I know that at one point.
Cole Thomas Allen. They got to give him the triple name, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
And that was in 79, you said?
Yeah, I'll bring up I got an article of it somewhere here. But yeah, so Secret Service agents foiled the plot. They find out they have blanks. The 2 hobos lead them to a nearby hotel room where there was a sniper rifle. It seemed like they were the distraction while someone was going to hit them sniper style.
Yeah, I never even heard of that, but you know.
Oh shit! All right. Well, here breaking news from any one of us.
This is all new too. Was it a Carcano rifle?
Dude, wouldn't that be crazy, dude? Because how ridiculous is that? How ridiculous are they going to roll out?
It's not a Carcano. It's a Mauser. You know, Carcano, Mauser. You know, they look the same. You know, surplus Italian and the other's German. It's fine.
Speaking of,
well, they did that in the JFK thing. They had 2 different photos in the files, right? Of 2 different rifles, right? Oh, my apologies, President.
Oh, I was just saying, dude, how was your trip to the kill zone down there?
Dude, it's always an adventure on the GCD high weirdness road here, bud.
Dude,
Ran to a creepy dentist at UVU, the Charlie Kirk site. Discovered a book by one of the most prolific drug trafficker in Iran-Contra I'd never heard of.
Yeah,
Not of the prolific drug traffickers that I had never heard of. He's the most prolific. I'm just saying, my grammar was improper there.
And that's the daughter. She's the daughter, right? That wrote it.
Yep. Drove past Z News headquarters in Southwest California. There, his Western headquarters, Gold Base as they call it.
Nice.
And they're just outside of Hemet.
Did you stop
looking for I was looking for the cabin where Christopher Dorner allegedly died in a blaze of glory.
Oh my God, Christopher Dorner!
Remember that one, dude? Remember that fucking psyop, dude?
Yep.
I don't know why I'm yelling at you, but yeah, that was what, about April 2014, right? That it was like right.
You're going to buy this car, and you're going to buy it.
Proximity to the Boston situation, right? And right after Sandy Hook, I feel like. So maybe it was April 2013.
Well, I remember that was one of the last stories that Mike Rupert was on top of, that he didn't believe things were being, the truth wasn't being told on that. And that was before
it was ridiculous, right? The narrative was ridiculous. You know, he's a former Navy SEAL turned LAPD sergeant who hates his supervisors and goes on, sends them all a letter, says, "I'm going to come get you." And then they put him all, then he's allegedly trying to go get him. I've seen that story before. It's called Lethal Weapon 2. They literally rolled out the Lethal Weapon 2 fucking campaign on us. And remember they murked up two old ladies delivering newspapers in a totally different truck, totally different color, nothing like Dorner's. And they just said ba-bang, ba-bang. And they just, luckily no one died, but they did like a picture. They shot the shit out of that truck.
Yeah.
John Malvo situation?
Yeah, it was kind of the West Coast Malvo in some respects, sure. Wasn't quite as long. It wasn't
around the same time period.
Terror wasn't quite as long.
Well, when it's not.
I'm sorry, Phil. You good?
No. Go ahead. It's okay.
I was just saying. Have you guys done any research into the whole DC sniper thing and one of the victims, one of the FBI agent victims?
Yeah. Why don't you tell me about it though? I do. It's been many years. I got a lot of
dude. I was looking into this shit, and it was weird. She was head of like counterterrorism for the FBI.
Right.
And and my brain was just running for that. I was like, dude, this is just a hit, man. All the other bodies were just collateral. That was the hit, I think.
Well, and it seemed like one of the scientists was connected to Fort Detrick with the U.S. Army Biological Warfare Lab. And then they would later trace the anthrax.
You can't find nothing on them,
to the Congress Muppets, right?
Yeah, well, you can't find much on it. That's the problem with this situation.
Oh, really? You can't find much? I'm just going from memory. My memory holes here.
Well, I
can barely even find her name.
Whose name? Give me a name.
I was kind of seeing what they all done.
Just if somehow Bill Gates.
Oh, I got you.
I think you're about to say Bill Colby. I'm like, I knew it, dude. I fucking knew it.
When Bill Gates can bury when he gets tossed out of a country, in relation to his vaccine program, they can bury, the identity of an FBI, kind of like the Secret Service agent who died, right before JFK was killed.
I got a good one for you on that note, sir. Anyone can try to find this article because I gave up searching many years ago, but I had seen it. I was there. It was it must have been July 3rd of 2003. And some Looney Tune lady with a box jumps over the fence line at Area B of Wrong Patterson Air Force Base, aka Wright Patterson Air Force Base. And the day George Bush, #2, was speaking at, then president, was speaking at the Air Force Museum there in Area B that day. She jumps over the fence near that region of the base. That's mainly all the testing. That's where they got the aliens. That's where Hangar 18 is. Area B. It's really called Hangar 4. But that's the lore around Hangar 18, right? But it is where all the Project Paperclip Nazis went to. That was Area B. It's all the testing for the Air Force and whatnot. Anyhow, this lady jumps over the fence. I just happened to be at the gym, getting ready to go to work that evening. And it's like 5 in the evening, going on work at 6. But we had a shift. Someone from one of my coworkers from my shift came on an hour early, right? In each kind of area, right? So there was always somebody on the road type of deal. Well, my buddy is there at the gym, and I'm walking out. He gets the call about this thing, so I get in the car with him. I don't have a gun, but I get in the car with him. We get over there. Secret Service is when we pull up 2 minutes later, right, from the gym in that area of the base, because they're sprawl. It's a huge base, huge different areas. I mean, it's enormous, but this area, the gym was right. We're like 2 minutes away, so we got right there. Secret Service was already there with their blacked out vans. Literally didn't even stop, swooped the lady up, and just kept rolling. I'm like, what the fuck did we just witness? You know what I mean? And then apparently, since I wasn't on duty yet, I missed the debrief. So, apparently no one was supposed to talk about that because I got in a lot of trouble talking about that. I immediately asked my lieutenant after shift. I didn't see. I looked at the police blotter for the shift, right, which is the record of the entire shift. There's called a police blotter, and it went in there. I'm like, well, that's weird. I was there, dude, and I went and talked to my buddy. Responded, and he's like, nah, dude, no. And I'm like, what are you talking about, nah? And I went and asked the lieutenant, and he's like, he just like closes the door. He's like super pissed. This was the precipitating event with the feud between me and my lieutenant for like the subsequent year, it got super weird. But it all precipitated with apparently he's like, how did you know? I was like, well, dude, I was there. I was like, Sergeant Phillips didn't tell you. He's like, no one told me. I'm like, well, I don't want to tell you, buddy. He's like, you're not supposed to talk about them. I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I'm not playing these silly games.
So basically.
Well, I got the only information I got was a local Fairborn, Ohio lady, right? I was able to get that information when I came on the shift that night, 30 minutes after I left the event. And, people think that, like, police departments, folks talk to each other. They don't. I mean, it's very compartmentalized in many respects on almost everything, on almost all activities.
Hell
So you're just like walking around like, wonder what they're doing. Kind of, those kind of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, different mobs hold different areas, that's.
Yeah, well, this one, no one was talking about immediately. I mean, well, this got super. I'd never seen something like that where no one was talking about it. I'd seen stuff where people don't want to talk about it, right? But like immediately, I'm like, this got weird. And so I started looking in the local reports about missing like women from Fairborn, and there's nothing. I look in the Fairborn, Ohio police blotter. There's nothing. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Did they disappear this lady? Dude, she's probably at Guantanamo Bay getting fucking tortured by Chris Whitcomb or whatever back then.
Well, it could be like, they talk about, what was it, in 63, before JFK, goes to Dallas, there's the Chicago event where he was supposed to go to, I think it was like Army, Air Force or something. Agent. Yeah, Abraham Bolden, who actually finally got pardoned during Biden's term.
That shit was crazy. They threw his at. They were trying to murk that dude.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, they
killed his career, right? It was career.
They basically just chalked up some sort of fake counterfeit charge against him, and I think it was based off of, if it wasn't a mobster, it was a connected guy with the Chicago outfit, and they charge him. Yeah. I think they actually said later on it might have been connected to Mad Sam DiStefano, who was like one of Giancana's most like psychopathic killers. He was like Chicago's version of your Roy DeMeo, Greg Scarpa, one of those guys, until he got killed by Tony Spilotro and his own brother, DiStefano's brother, and because he was that much of a wild card. But Bolden winds up. He's in jail, but at one point I think they even put him into like an institution. So kind of they went the Lawrence E. King route. When you're inconvenient, let's see, we'll put you in an insane asylum, and hope eventually, if you don't just get the accidental wrong dose, that you decide to off yourself. Eventually he did get out, and he spent the rest of the time like trying to clear his name. I mean, I've interacted with him on Facebook. A very nice man, and the victim of injustice he's still alive as far as I know. I mean, I think he's even outlived a couple of his kids at this point. I mean, he finally lived long enough.
You can't kill me. I'm already dead.
Yeah, he finally lived long enough.
Martin Van Buren.
Yeah, to be able to get exonerated, at least, to get that pardon. Because to be honest, too many people were kind of waving it in front of him. And as much as I hate Joe Biden, I said it's the one good thing he did in my estimation.
Come on, man.
I voted for Joe Biden to run again as president, dude. That was some of the funniest shit I've ever seen, dude.
You mean
I fired Corn Pop?
Corn Pop was a bad dude. Speaking of bad dudes, Dr. Inferno, welcome to Operation GCD, sir. Welcome back for your very first time ever.
Hell yeah. Good to be here.
Doc.
Greetings to everybody. Happy May Day to all the secret Marxist, parapolitical people that listen to this.
Linus.
Yikes, dude! That sounds like that's a microaggression, bro. You can't be coming through like that, dude.
Yeah, I know. But let's keep it 100. A lot of parapolitical Marxist people, this is their guilty pleasure.
Yeah. So what's new on the docket there, Doc?
Oh, nothing much. I'm just talking about Aldo Moro with No Way Jose. I've been doing a continual kind of stuff about the years of lead. Yeah, on I'm going to cover next episode. It's going to be about Aldo Moro and about all the machinations that's involved with his mysterious death. I'm going to get into some of the deep state with the Italian politics, which no one else seems to be interested in except me. But I'm interested.
We're talking about years of lead stuff and Italian parapolitics, but let's pretend for a second.
They hold the keys, Doc.
Aldo Calrissian said was. What was his name?
Say that again.
What's this guy's name? Aldo what?
Aldo Moro.
Cal.
He was Christian Democrat.
Why don't you bring me up to speed there, Doc?
Okay, basically, so what he wanted to consolidate all the different mainstream. He wanted to consolidate all the mainstream political parties into one consolidated base. And part of the reason why he was killed was because he believed in the Great Compromise, which means he wanted to compromise with the communists at the time, the Marxists, which were the mainstream Marxists, which the CIA and a lot of the U.S. deep state, like Henry Kissinger, didn't want there to be a consolidated effort with all of the different political parties in Italy at the time. So it's alleged that even though the Red Brigades, which were far left, they were like out of the mainstream, they were like considered terrorists by the mainstream Communist Party in Italy itself, they wanted to basically, what I believe is they wanted to utilize them to kill Aldo Moro, to prop up this guy called Giuliano Andreotti, which I'm sure Phil knows quite a bit about. And they probably used the P2 Lodge and Mafia and the Drangheta people to try to broker a deal to get his release, but it was totally negligent. Basically, Steve Pajanic, the infamous guy that went on Alex Jones, was called in to try to broker a deal. Turns out that he went along with the Italian deep state, which was going along with the American CIA and probably Kissinger, to just totally ignore Aldo Moro, left him out to dry, and the rest is history.
Yeah, Andreotti. Yeah, Andreotti was the one that later on, when Giovanni Falcone and Paolo Borsellino were doing their prosecutions into the mafia, and had the Maxi trial, which was I think it was 324 mafiosi in the mid '80s. Andreotti's name was brought up, a few times around the corruption.
Nice spelling.
That was bigger than all the mafioso trials here in America, right?
Oh yeah, the Maxi trial was. So we had the commission trial, which was the hierarchy of the 5 families in New York, and various underbosses and captains, and I think that was only about a dozen. The Maxi trial, which I do believe did have some cross referencing, and I think Louis Freeh, and let's call him what he is, which I think there is corrupt elements to Louis Freeh, helped cooperate with that.
Yeah, for sure. Right.
And but that was, they constructed. The Italians went to big expense to make a courthouse, around a bunker, heavily guarded. You had all these mafiosi in this underground, jail cells. And, at one point you had guys like Tommaso Buscetta, who was one of the most higher up, he was not even so much an informant, but he was a super informant, because he didn't give information. He wasn't like a Whitey Bulger, or what they say Bulger was. He was more like a Sammy Gravano. Tommaso Buscetta, the Corleonesi, had wiped out a good portion of his family, including his kids, and he got arrested in Brazil, and he turns. Falcone, eventually kind of spoke to him, and that was part of the basis of the book Excellent Cadavers. And Excellent Cadavers were basically
I'm gonna look into.
Yeah, good book. And
I've
actually,
never heard of this book, sir. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, that was recommended by Phil, I think, when I was asking him, because I do plan on bringing on Phil eventually to go over kind of a historical basis of the different mafias in Italy. It's kind of a project of mine that I'm working on to really go in deep with the all the way from the Risorgimento, which is the unification of Italy, down to, you know, the 80s and 90s and into like the modern era with the Ndrangheta still have some pull and clout in the criminal underworld in Italy. It's a fascinating time. Italian politics are really interesting, and it's criminal that like a lot of people, except for I would say some of the parapolitical Marxist people, no shade on them, I like their research as well, don't really go into it a whole lot of depth.
Who's a parapolitical Marxist person? Who's that?
I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to mention people, but you know who they are.
Fair enough.
And
I'm not trying to talk shit. I was just wondering.
I don't know
political terms. I mean, I don't do politics. I have to ask questions.
Well, I understand that. I understand that, but they quite explicitly, a lot of the people in the parapolitical community are basically, a lot of them are on the left side of things. Yes, that's absolutely. I do like subliminal. I'll say them. I like subliminal jihad. I'll just say that for the record, even though they had me blocked.
Well,
I like.
Well, since you're telling us what you do and do not like, what's your thoughts on where you stance on Christopher Dorner and his shootings? What's your stance on that?
I think Christopher Dorner probably knew about the Ramparts situation. Probably also knew about
the Ramparts. He was in Riverside, wasn't he?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know for sure. But I do know
the Ramparts. Well, no, he was in Los Angeles. Well, I don't know, dude. He was LAPD, so I don't know what division he was in, to be honest with you. Let's look.
Well, the Ramparts was like just sort of exposed all the corruption that was happening in LA that goes really all the way back to Patty Hearst, you know, and even probably beyond that.
And continues on to this day, I'm sure. I have no doubt, dude.
Well, look at how they're handling the whole David thing with the R&B singer that recently got.
That's what arrested. I'm saying, dude. In what world can you have a 14-year-old girl rotting away in your trunk that you murdered because she was pregnant with your child? It appears, according to the court records. That's what it seems to be the precipitating event in that crime. It's sexually motivated. But look, his management company was signing off on it, dude. His family signed off on it. Her family signed off on it. And ain't no one was speaking up about it, dude. Who's paying all them folks off is my question.
That's a good question.
Well,
I do know one thing. Go ahead.
Probably the Biden crime family.
I don't mean to cut in here, Phil. I'll let you say your point.
Solid words of wisdom from Mr. President.
I wanted to say this about sort of the LAPD. I think it's really kind of intensive. I think it goes back to sort of the anti-war protesters during like the late 60s and 70s. A lot of them also integrated the CIA into various different police forces. This is covered heavily in, believe it or not, the book by Sally Denton, Bluegrass Conspiracy.
That's a great book.
Talks about
I like that book.
She talks about how like they set aside.
Dude, I was like, that's not the same book.
Yeah. They talk about how they set aside. They talk about how they set aside various different like people in the different metropolitan areas where they integrated CIA people, and this is around the time when they started smuggling heroin into like the urban streets of America.
Well, I think
a lot of
Gates and LAPD is a great example of that. I believe he takes the helm in '78. He is a Colby queer. He then institutes one of the largest intelligence operations in the world. I believe it was the California State House investigated him. Dude, he had like five. He had a crazy number of LAPD officers around the world doing intelligence operations, or as I like to describe them as unintelligent operations. Dude, at no point in time does that benefit the taxpaying public of Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles. There, so I don't even know how no one goes to jail for some shit like that, dude.
Let's just say going back to like the 1950s, LA definitely is rife with corruption. You can read. I'm pretty sure Phil has read this book, James Ellroy's books about various different details about how like one famous one is LA Confidential, where they talk about how just the LA is what the police department was up to the take, I think, with the Jewish mafia was involved, with the the LA side of the Mafia.
Whoa.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying not to.
Wait, your hood on, you're gonna say that around here, dog.
Kosher,
listen,
they're kosher.
listen.
Come on.
Listen.
Like kosher,
I'm not
kosher,
saying.
dude, I love that term.
I'm
That's
not
great.
implicating a whole group of people. I'm just simply
How
saying
dare you,
that
dude?
there was
How
a
dare you,
Jewish.
sir?
There was a Jewish mafia. It did exist. There was an Irish mafia. There was Italian mafia. There's various different factions. And sometimes
they're
they
obviously,
together.
in my opinion, they're the top of the or the bottom of the mafia funnel, right? With folks like Meyer Lansky's, right?
Yep.
They took over from some of the Italians, according to that one actor.
What was that movie that came out? What was that movie that came out with Ryan Gosling and Sean Penn that talked about
the Gangster Squad?
Yeah. That was basically about a Jewish mobster that was in LA.
Oh, Bugsy Siegel, right?
California.
Bugsy Siegel.
Well, no,
Yeah,
Gangster Squad was after Bugsy gets killed. It's about Mickey Cohen. It was the intelligence squad because Josh Brolin plays a guy named Jack Mara, who's a real guy. And Ryan Gosling plays a guy named, I think it was Jerry Wooters. They were real guys because what happened was the Gangster Squad later on they were confused. Well, no, I mean, it was sort of the same group when a group that was like the intelligence section of the LAPD got outed for probably going after card-carrying pinko commies. And
heavy Scientology.
Mickey Cohen was the guy that I was thinking about. Mickey Cohen.
Yep. And
we got
meanwhile,
Michael Pena, everyone's favorite Hispanic Scientologist. And then we got Giovanni Ribisi. I'm not sure what he is. I suppose Italian, right?
A shitty actor.
Yeah, he's Italian.
Yeah, dude.
He
does that one shitty voice in almost
every. He was actually good in Lost Highway, the Lynch movie. He was good.
I still got to see that. I still got to see Lost Highway.
You gotta see.
I've never seen that either, dude. So
really?
Don't feel bad.
That's LA related too. That's LA related too, and the guy
Robert Blake.
Yeah.
I think
and Robert
you can stand by for 1 minute. We got a very special moment here at Operation GCD. Channel, I missed you, you fucking Muppet. Like a sailor misses venereal disease. Go fuck yourself. And tell
I stepped on Phil. I wanted to hear what I kind of wanted to hear what Phil said before I interrupted him. But I think it was about LA concerning the corruption.
Well, it's funny. Like James Ellroy, he's a huge cop booster, but meanwhile he had been arrested multiple times because so his mother got murdered when he was 10, still an unsolved murder. His father
it's still unsolved, huh?
Yeah,
they're not good about solving them murders out there, are they?
Well, when he went to investigate it, when he was working for, I think it was GQ, he worked with, I think I might have mentioned this before, he worked with a guy named Bill Stoner, who worked on the Roy Raid murder, because that gets referenced in Ellroy's book, My Dark Places. And yeah, I always remember when it was like,
it's called My Dark Places?
My Dark Places. They tried to make it into a movie.
Insidious sounding title, is it not? It's kind of dark and nefarious.
Well, his father was an accountant for Rita Hayworth. So he was Hollywood. He was kind of that Hollywood adjacent. I mean, his mom was from the Midwest. His father was, I think, more California born. And one of the things, besides the fact that a newspaper took a picture of him the day of, that he's informed that his mom got killed, which became of like, it's like it made the newspapers. And his father's parting advice when he died was pick up every waitress you can. He was kind of fucked, from an early age. But yeah, he became a huge LAPD booster. But yet his books really go into the dark heart of law enforcement, organized crime. LA Confidential is the third of his initial LA Quartet. He just actually went back to that and did a prequel, and he went into the last couple of books have been about Fred Otash, who was a former LAPD and became a private eye.
Strong name right there.
So. Lebanese, and Fred Otash was a good electronics expert. He supposedly wired up Marilyn Monroe's house. And
okay.
But yeah, no, James.
They were doing that shit long before Homeboy took over. Like I was saying, Daryl Gates. They were already doing all this hood rat shit, bugging folks' homes and shit like that, right?
Well, Daryl Gates, who Ellroy counted as a friend, Daryl Gates was in Street Kings, which was an adaptation of one of Ellroy's screenplays that was with Keanu Reeves and
David
Forrest
Ayer.
Whitaker.
David Ayer.
David Ayer. Yep.
He also did that one movie with Denzel.
One
movie where he played Denzel, played a dirty cop.
Training Day.
Denzel's a dirty cop. Denzel would never play a dirty cop, sir.
Wait,
my bad. I got stationed in Korea, and my supervisor, I was immediately on patrol as a sergeant, and my supervisor, who was doing my field training for a month as I come on new assignment. He thought it was right after that. It probably hit DVD or some shit. Training day. He thought he was Denzel Washington. He thought I was. I tried to put him in this place a couple of times, dude. I'm like, this is inappropriate.
Did you like Korea?
Oh, I fucking loved it. I was so close to St.
I always heard it's pretty cool.
Dude, I was on a 1-year assignment there, and on a remote assignment, meaning like no one takes their families with them on those assignments, right? In the military, it's just a solo mission,
it's
so
cold,
to speak.
Too, right? It's cold there.
Well, I was in Kunsan, South Korea, which is literally the exact opposite point across the globe from Cincinnati, Ohio. Strangely enough, like if you were to put a line through Cincinnati, you'd land up in Kunsan. And so it's quite honestly very similar to climate, very similar situations weather-wise, not people-wise, dude. A lot of Koreans. A lot of Koreans in Ohio.
I wonder what the old Rocket Man's up to. We haven't heard much out of him in a while.
Dude, it's such a tiny country, dude. South Korea, dude, is the size of Indiana.
Hell Juche gang.
It's a bizarre place. It's because I traveled the whole place.
Dennis Rodman, bro. He's gonna
team.
Hell Juche.
I don't know what that means. Is that English?
No, it's like North Korean. Their party.
No.
They call themselves the Juche.
And then I played on like an amateur soccer league like Korean amateur soccer league, and so I traveled all over that fucking place, dude, for about 8 months of my assignment there. And it's actually a really gorgeous fucking country, dude. Really wild shit you'll find there, dude. Really wild shit. And speaking of wild shit, they want to make you shit in a hole, dude, to the rest areas along the highway. So I just started taking the trains after that. I'm like, I ain't shit in a hole, dude. What is this, West Virginia?
That's
both you Appalachian boys know what I'm talking about.
West Virginia, where every animal is your potential lover.
Yikes! I thought you were going to say your potential relative. I guess same deal, right? A lot of Australians
in West Virginia, they don't really make a distinction. They don't make distinction in West Virginia. Let me stop insulting West Virginia.
Were you born in West Virginia, Doc?
Yeah, no, he's coming up here to insult us Appalachian boys. Get him, Mr. President.
Hey,
where were you born? Where are you born at, Doc?
I'm not gonna say on air because I don't want to get
dodged. He's out of the Mason-Dixon line.
I was concocted up in some lab in like some.
I've heard that tale before. I've heard that bedtime tale before.
That's where I was concocted.
So
you, JJ, you said your trip to Utah was pretty crazy. Did you?
Dude, super wild.
Did you feel like any energy there?
Breakfast / lunch at a diner situation, Black Bear Diner, Big Bear Diner, something like that. Some sort of bear. Ran into a Bigfoot hunter, and when I started my journeys in Glacier National Park. When I say I ran into him, he was the proprietor of a local diner establishment. There you go, sir.
We believe.
Cryptid action. He was the proprietor of a local diner establishment I stopped at whilst passing through Glacier Park because the closest Hyundai dealership for me in Great Falls was 240 miles away in Kalispell, so that was fun. But I stopped. That dude doesn't have. He's a shirtless dude in the doorway, and it turns out it's the proprietor of the establishment, and he's a Bigfoot hunter. He's got pictures everywhere, dude. $6.3 million view Bigfoot stuff, dude. Shit. I forget his name. I'll look it up here in a second. He thankfully was not making my burger. There was definitely a burger element to all that, but he wasn't making my burger because his wife did. I made sure of that. He's like, I apologize. I was out mowing the grass. I'm like, are you making my burger? My wife is.
JJ, I'm gonna get you that damn sponsor. I'm in contact personally with the co-owner of
Tudor's Biscuit World.
I'm
hell yeah! Hell yeah!
Right? One man can only dream, sir. One man can only dream.
For the damn people, man.
What's your favorite Tudor's biscuit Martin Van Buren, not the dead president.
Not the.
I like their hash brown. I like their. I don't really like their biscuits. I like the.
I like the golden herd. You like the thundering herd.
Ooh.
There was.
I don't know. That's pretty good.
They posted a meme the other day of like somebody from Marshall and somebody from WVU fighting. It was stupid.
I saw that on the Teeter's Biscuit Roll page.
Yeah. I'm trying to get in contact.
You gotta be a great. Hey, look, you gotta be a great big fat person to be following the Teeter's Biscuit World page.
my best friend married into that family, JJ, that actually owns. So that's pretty cool.
Oh shit, dude!
I have one called The Politician. I have one called The Politician, which is bologna and eggs. It's named after.
I mean, if you want to talk, dude, if you want to talk delicious sandwiches, my friend, you've come to the right place. If you want to talk about eggs and other sorts of just like kind of everything in the kitchen sink, kind of breakfast style on a hoagie roll, dude, I'm going to recommend a place right off of Princeton's campus, Princeton University. I was there when I was there visiting and making copies of and reading the Ed Sanders archives. Visited this establishment every day. That's how damn good there's. Usually you order bacon somewhere, dude. They're going to give you like a couple slices. These people are like, look, dude, you're going to need another bun for the amount of bacon we're about to give you.
JJ, where is the Ed Sanders archives located?
Princeton,
Jersey.
Oh, really?
Tigers.
Princeton,
wow.
West Virginia.
Princeton, West Virginia.
But if you ain't been to Bluefield, dude, you ain't lived.
I've been to Bluefield.
You have definitely not lived, dude.
That's a weird place. They used to have gangs up there. People that used to like claim Crips and Bloods and stuff.
Well,
strange.
Fun thing about Bluefield was that was kind of one of the intermediary points in the opioid trade from New York to Florida.
Big time.
That was one of the stops.
Yeah,
because it splits. You split off there. You can go, you go left, you're going towards Ohio, up in there, Illinois, Chicago, and then you go right, you're going to Philly, DC, New York, hitting the whole East Coast. So it was kind of an intermediary.
You can hug both state lines and do your hood rat shit.
And no cops. We can't afford cops.
That's until the Mexicans sort of took over the fentanyl trade through Detroit.
Well, that happened in Ohio. They're not far from where you're at. They're in Pike County.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That whole road situation was deeply rooted in Mexican drug cartel activity.
Oh, yeah. Believe me, I know. Well, there's a pretty good book by Sam Keano's thing called Dreamland that talks about that.
Well, he's a good writer. I've had a dream, sir. Much like Martin Luther King, I had a dream. It was about a delicious hoagie at Hoagie Haven in Princeton, New Jersey again.
I'll check it out.
Hoagie Haven, okay.
Hoagie Haven, dude.
I might try to stay.
I didn't know it was an establishment, but I tell you one thing, it's delicious.
Nothing beats a good hoagie.
Let's look.
Making me hungry.
So what's the difference between a hoagie and a sub?
Well, let's see. Let's get down to brass tacks here, sir. I think it boils down to typically the bread, but generally speaking, it's the region of the country in which you're ordering. Because if you go up to New Englandville and you want a hoagie or a sub, you better be ordering that as a grinder. They call them grinders up there.
Just don't have Jared. Just don't have a guy named Jared tell you how good it is, because he's
make sure you specify which grinder you're talking about. The same
stay off the
get it out of the gutter.
But then again, they found out that what was it? Subway's bread wasn't really bread, and its tuna was classified because it definitely wasn't fish.
Oh, dude!
Yoga mats. Yoga mats.
The CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, some show on their network there did a. They got a piece of that chicken that the Subway was selling, and they tested it, and it was like 67% soy, dude, and like 20 some odd percent chicken or rib meat or whatever they call it.
What do you expect? I mean,
what do you expect out of the operation posing as a sandwich corporation, right?
Fucking Happy Gilmore put them on the map. You know what I mean?
The guy went from looking like a true pedophile, 400 pounds and nerdy, to being like svelte, and then it's like, oh, we did it all through eating fucking Subway, and it's like, yeah, no, it's not. It's grade G meat. I mean, I've eaten at Subway a couple times, and I feel like I honestly want to erase that moment with the neuralizer from my entire life, because it's.
You want to put a bullet in your head after you eat.
Pretty much,
your brains out.
Dude, I want to recommend the Hard Stop. It's cheesesteak, bacon, eggs, ketchup, and hot sauce on a hoagie roll.
Holy shit.
Your mouth hole, dude.
That's a heart attack.
Dude, have you guys
seen
Hard
Stopper? Yeah, sure.
All the restaurants closing, man? It's crazy. Dude,
well, this place has been open since 1976, or it's an establishment in Princeton, New Jersey. They get some Big Cat, double bacon cheeseburger hoagie with double eggs.
Chicken parmigiano and bacon and eggs. Wow.
Hardee's, JJ, is closing like 300 stores.
Good.
Wendy's
my favorite is probably the body
stores.
bag, dude.
Good.
It's cheesesteak, hash browns, egg, ketchup, and hot sauce. Yum.
Ooh, that looks good.
Num num.
Did you get the $11.99 or the $22.99 variety?
Let's be honest about the situation. Sure, I'm a great big fat person. You know what size I got.
He got the deluxe size.
I'm gonna need 2 of those and a Diet Coke. You literally can't miss
good taste the sandwiches there, JJ. Good taste.
Food just
Taste of America,
now,
my friend. Taste of America.
Nobody makes food anymore. Nobody.
Well, if you're right down the road in Philadelphia, sir, you can't go wrong with a little Patter or Geno's cheesesteaks. They're right across the corner from one another.
Yeah, those places aren't going under. But just to add
Pat's is a favorite.
Just to add to what our 8th president of the United States was talking about, there was Smoky Bones, which is like a barbecue rrestaurant. They just went this past week, and they had a place out by me because I went there at least a few times. And I said to my wife, I was like, Smoky Bones, they're not just closed, they're done. Like, they literally told their employees, we're closed forever. They were in bankruptcy. They were trying to work it out. And then just like what happened with Spirit Airlines, they're done. Unless someone's going to bail them out, they're done, which means I'm sure at some point, some sort of vulture capital company will take up their remains and package it into something else, like Toys R Us back in the day. And
I thought that already happened with them, no?
Well,
Toys R Us get bought out by somebody? I don't know. I just remember them closing down a bunch of stores years back.
Yeah, no, Toys R Us was.
I like
Toys R Us was a guy named Paul Singer, who was like a big VC guy. Eventually, was a part of that, and now Toys R Us stuff is like in stores themselves. Like,
they just wanted the brand name, right? Yeah. They did the same thing with that toy store, and they teach these Muppet movies in Harvard Business School. I came across one of these Muppets.
Yeah, they'll cannibalize it.
Nope, that's the guy from Starbucks.
Yeah,
something Schultz. Wonder what religion he is. Anyhow,
Scientology.
Yeah, he's definitely Scientologist. He was always touting, I went to Harvard Business School. I got an MBA from Harvard Business. Like, I went to war, bud. Seems like we're on the same page business style here, but you're doing a lot worse than I am with a lot of these deals we're making. I was working with this. He was running a tactical manufacturing company at the time, and I was working some deals for him and whatnot of how to better service the troops with the shit they actually need. And he screwed all that shit up later. But that seems to be the tactics they teach at Harvard. I'm convinced now, after meeting numerous MBAs from Harvard Business School, they teach them how to run a business into the ground. They only care about like extracting they teach them, I think, how to extract everything that's of value and then just dump everything else.
Tax, just a lot of name. It's tax harvesting is what they're doing.
Basically, yeah. Basically, that's basically what it is. Shifting debts over and whatnot, and then for sure.
It could be a more elaborate version of a pump and dump.
It definitely is. It definitely is a more elaborate version of a pump and dump.
But yeah. Who's to say there's not, these companies that are Fortune 500s, and then it's like, okay, we got it. It becomes what was it when you've basically gotten everything you can, and it's I don't remember the exact line, but with Goodfellas, and you basically bust out the joint. You get to a certain point when it's like you've squeezed everything out that you can.
Yep.
There's nothing more to be done. You light a match. You bring in Tommy D and Henry Hill, and you burn the fucker up. That's
a good point there. That's a solid point there, Phil. But prior to my encounters with that one Muppet from Harvard Business School, that specific Muppet, he ran this place into the ground. FAO Schwartz. He's the reason why this place got run into the ground.
Sure wasn't Tom Hanks in Big?
Well, they didn't do him any service, did they? But this was a very famous Times Square. I mean, they moved it as over on Rockefeller Center now, I think. But I mean, this was a very prominent. Yeah, this is a very prominent was a very prominent Times Square location. I think that's now the Disney store in that location where that used to be. But it was Home Alone, right? It was the big movie, the Diddler movie with Tom Hanks. How Diddler is that? Like, there's a lot of Diddler movies. There's a lot of Diddler music and movies in the 80s that seem to be accepted. widely.
Hey,
accepted.
ruining my childhood there.
Well, if you think about Back to the Future, dude, that's pretty perverse. Dude's about to have sex with his mom, time travel style. I don't give a
Yeah,
shit.
that is.
And he's hanging out with a man at least 50 years older than him. I mean, let's put it
that's
this
a
way:
little
Doc
suspect, right?
Brown is
What are
not
they doing,
supposed to
right?
be in his 40s. I mean, come on, Morty.
Yes, Biff Tannen's supposed to be Donald Trump.
He is. That's what Bob Gale says, the writer and producer, co-producer, I believe.
Yep. I just saw something.
Marshall Mathers.
The real Marshall Mathers, dude?
The real Marshall Mathers. The real Slim Shady.
Who are you talking about? Eric Kirk?
Yeah, that I just seen a stupid meme. She had that stupid hat on. It's like, why is Erica Kirk turning into Marshall Mathers?
Dude, why does she look so commando? Dude, what in the Looney Tune? Who? No one's there to stop her. Like, let's say, let's.
He looks like a paramilitary trooper. Honestly, she looks like paramilitary.
They're trying to burn this. Like Phil said, they're trying to burn this MFR to the ground.
I don't disagree, dude. I don't disagree. I think that's why you see all the queering up of all these corporations, from J.C. Penney's to
J.P. Morgan. They're out there raping the employees.
I saw that.
I think so. You're hearing like a lot of rumblings, even from like your guys like Jamie Dimon. So take a little while. And by the way, if you ever want to talk about a guy who's a fucking poser, his last name is Demontopoulos. He becomes Jamie Dimon. I think he was trying to, go with a certain image. He's Greek. Well, he hangs with
his dad was a plumber.
Speaking of all that Italian Gladio stuff, there's a lot of that Greek Gladio stuff I've been reading about as of late.
Well, I mean, if you want to look about the dirty stuff of the Cold War, everyone's like, oh, Russia and Germany. No, look at France, look at Greece, look at Italy.
The coup plot. Yeah, the coup plot.
Look at, to be honest,
the coup plot is, I don't mean to step on Phil here, but I just happen to know a little bit about this. In 1967, they did this thing where they got a bunch of Greek colonels together, and it's commemorated in this movie called Z by
Costa Gravis. Yep.
Costa Gravis, yes. And it talks about they set up the whole strategy of tension previously, actually, with a bunch of French former ex-fascist, the OAS. They set up the entire Cold War strategy right there between these France, Greece, and Italy, as Phil said. This whole nexus, that's the big nexus point.
Yep. That's exactly who I was thinking of. Gus Avocados. I was just typing that.
I'm in your brain, old sir. Watch out. Watch out for lasers also.
Yep, from Aliquippa, whose dad was a soda pop maker. But yeah, he was involved in that.
This guy was a major player, right, in our national security Muppet state.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He kind of came to power in all those kind of Gladio operations, right? Is my understanding, right?
100%. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was pretty much put out to pasture in and around the time he winds up getting involved with the Operation Cyclone, the whole arming the Afghans against the Russians. But yeah, his career was pretty much fucked. I mean, we were talking about the whole thing with Jimmy Carter, with Stansfield Turner. Stansfield Turner, who's Jimmy Carter's buddy in the Naval Academy, was appointed CIA director, and he jettisons a bunch of covert operators. That's eventually how the blonde ghost, Ted Shackley, took his exit, was because of that. And
the ghost.
Yep. And, Avocados was kind of like button heads with some of his superiors. And eventually he winds up kind of getting involved with, what was the guy's name? I remember his name. The Green Beret. He wound up being involved with the young Green Beret, Mike something, with Charlie Wilson. They were kind of help supplying the Mujahideen. And
I mean, that's what we see in Charlie Wilson's War, right? Philip Seymour Hoffman plays old Gustav here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And again, even that movie is a limited hangout. That doesn't really,
for sure,
it doesn't really cut to the core. Charlie Wilson was, had involvement, but it's, at the same time, are we going to talk about the Tim Osmond elephant in the room?
Whoa, Phil, whoa.
Easy. Let's not. So the Osmonds are what? That's the Lebanese royal family, right? Which Syrian royal family? Which one of those royal families is the Osmonds? I'll get back to you on that.
Well, I
remember that fellow's name. Ed Schmaltz, dude. Ed Schmaltz. He's a real son of a bitch. That son of a bitch right there. That's the guy that ruined the Home Alone
sounds
toy
like a
store,
schmuck.
dude. Yeah, he was a schmuck, dude. I didn't care for him. But look, I guarantee he wrote this. Holds an MBA from Harvard Business School. Go fuck yourself, Ed. Dude,
Yeah,
I did a
Bin
huge
Laden,
deal for that
right?
guy in the defense world.
Bill?
Some tactical, clothing.
What
I
the
guess
fuck?
really a layered clothing system. It was like fireproof and shit for EOD guys, Air Force EOD guys. And he took all the money after I made the deal for him. And he was running this outdoor manufacturing company called Wild Things. It was a outdoor company before Ed got his dirty Muppet hands on it. And he ran that in the ground. He took like a huge, multi six-figure fucking paycheck on a contract to make a bunch of shit. And he's like, oh, Harvard Business School told me to make contracts and then go take all that money and reappropriate it somewhere else, because that's what he fucking did. And I was like, I'm out of here, you fucking Muppet. I'm not, because the government gets real buttered about some shit like that. They'll get you up on him you up on some charges for some dumb shit like that. I guess not unless if you go to Harvard Business School, they don't. I don't know. But the Osmonds are definitely a royal family, and they're also the singers from the Mormons.
That's who keep all the heroin.
The Mormon Osmonds, I wouldn't surprise. Yeah, it's the House of Osmond. My apologies.
Right,
it's the Ottoman Empire.
The Lebanese as well.
That's what I thought they were Lebanese. I thought so. So I think
same damn.
I think a lot of folks say Bin Laden's part of the Bin Laden family, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's part of this other royal family, which is their cousins, just like Dodi Fayed's cousins with
Khashoggi.
Mohammed Fayed was running guns Mohammed Fayed was running guns in Haiti.
Well, dude, if you're worth your weight as a gun runner, you better be running guns in Haiti, dude. They love guns in Haiti.
What he was doing to good old Papa Doc or baby Doc.
I was about to say they're always buying guns, dude.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. I think I'm just saying. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if Tim Osmond was really part of the House of Osmond.
I mean, he's what one of 50 kids to a construction magnate. I mean, who's to say that his mother wasn't Turkish? I mean, right. It's kind of like if you backtrack a certain German leader's lineage, we don't really truly know who that house painter's father was, and
right.
It might have been.
You're talking about Gorman, right?
You're talking about King Charles, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You backtrack his Bavarian royalty. I mean, they all kind of intersect, it seems, but the yeah, that's a good point, though. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the bin Sultans, right? The Saudi royals, they're the kind of the ones that seeded the rest of this Middle East royal families, like Kuwait and everybody else, right? And I think they're actually Turkish. I think their ancestry goes back to Eastern Turkey, the Ottomans.
Right. It's just so crazy when you look into all the whole, like the British intelligence.
Well, that's who installed them, right? That's the Brits who installed the Saud.
JJ, we're under the crown history, brother. It's under the crown.
Oh boy.
Always has.
You ain't kidding, Mr. President. It's definitely the crown history. I thought you guys took care of that, sir.
Them damn snaggletooth boys over there.
So what was the? What do you think old Gustav was doing? What was that, Doc? I missed that.
I said, okay, there, Lyndon LaRouche.
So what do you think? What do you think Gustav was doing here in authoring a memorandum opposing the CIA's involvement in the Iran-Contra affair? And has anyone ever seen this? It's the first time seeing of this.
Well, it's funny considering the fact that in the movie Charlie Wilson's War, he talks about how Congress had turned down an offer to fund the Contras for $2 million. So that's completely opposite of the way he was. Meanwhile, one of the people who Avocados was friends with was Claire George, and Claire George got very well caught up in Iran-Contra. So he might have been opposed. I mean, Claire George was a guy, immersed in the, covert.
It's a man named Claire.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
A man named Claire.
Yep. Man named
Claire.
Kind of like a man named Sue, but a man named Claire.
Well, yeah, you had guys like Claire George. I mean, one of the people who they mentioned, and they mention him. Gus name drops him in the movie Charlie Wilson's War. But
Okay.
you had guys like
he was in Beirut and Athens.
Yep. I mean, you had
he was third ranking under Bill Casey, huh? That's fucking interesting, man.
Bill Casey, the man who never wanted to be CIA director, he wanted higher. Yeah, I mean, he raised enough money for Reagan and Nixon. Nixon appoints him SEC director, and Reagan makes him CIA director, and he's like, "Shit, I wanted to be Secretary of State." He wanted more.
Right.
He's definitely in the dark arts. That's for damn sure.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, but I also don't believe that Bob Woodward got a deathbed interview either.
So it begs the question: who's running the National Security Council? Was it Bill Casey, or was it who was his National Security Director? I done forgot. Casper Weinberger? No, that was Defense.
No, he was. Weinberger was Defense, National Security. So his NSA was McFarland, but then later was John Poindexter, who was a former admiral.
That's who I was thinking. Man. Poindexter. Real Muppet name, right?
Yeah. McFarland tries to slash his wrists in and around his Iran-Contra testimony. But and I think Poindexter.
That's totally normal, sir. That always happens. Yeah, it's happened a lot as of late, actually.
Well,
Poindexter did
a lot of bathtubs and wrist openings.
A little Danny Castellaro action. Yeah, Poindexter did total information awareness. He was really
he was a graduate of the academy with old Muppet John McCain, huh?
He was big into. He was a big tech head. That was his thing. He was really big into computers and.
Went to Caltech.
Caltech. Yep. There you go. There's your.
That's Cole Allen's alma mater right there.
There's your link. DARPA. Whoa, hold up. What's that? DARPA Information Awareness?
Mm-hmm.
DARPA. Wow.
Okay, that's not.
There's a DARPA. There's a DARPA element to the Idaho 4 murders. I'm sure that's
DARPA connection.
DARPA.
DARPA.
No, the daughter of the lady that invented the code for ARPANET is
what's her name?
Rarely connected to the Idaho situation.
Oh, really?
Her father. So the lady that invented the code for ARPANET's husband. This is again their daughter. That's owns real estate that's connected to the situation in their Moscow, Idaho's. Sounds like a commie name I've ever heard one. Isn't that right, Mr. President?
Take them back. Ship them back.
Her father was the deputy director of DARPA. And he's in the Nazi Rocket Science Hall of Fame, dude. That's an achievement.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his name will come back to me in a second. I can't think of it right now.
You think they get a pension for that?
Yeah, I hope so, dude. I hope it's a good dental plan that, dude. They need. I know a good dentist, so they need one.
Don't forget, OJ got a pension. OJ kept his pension.
Yeah, it's because he lived in Florida. They couldn't touch it, right? He made like $125K a year, I think, in the NFL. But he was living in some millionaire's house out there in Vegas. And I want to say the man was mobbed up. I believe they call it mobbed up.
Well, the mob never left. The mob never left Vegas. That's a great.
Oh fuck no, dude! There's definitely you spend some time there. You can pick up on some of the hints of the mob run operations.
JJ, the guy that you mentioned, is he connected to Werner von Braun? The guy that you said that was on the Nazi Rocket Hall of Fame?
Yeah, probably in his young career. Yeah, he developed the software for the rockets. I'm trying to think of his name, but give me a second here. I'll get it back to you. Their daughter works at the University of Idaho, but she owns real estate, and she has a real estate portfolio in her part-time. And that's how she's connected to some of the situations directly relative to the Idaho 4 stuff. Also, not in Christopher Whitcomb's book, neither is his accounts of Ruby Ridge or Waco, those terrorist operations he was a part of.
Who is this goddamn Geraldo Rivera? Is he just
Who is this here boy here? We got there, boy.
Shit bums, JJ. These guys are shit bums, dude. Really?
You don't know who Geraldo Rivera is, bud?
It ain't real. Hell, he probably ain't even real.
No, dude, I heard that old Geraldo boy. That boy don't look real, does he?
Well, there was nothing in Al Capone's vault. I mean,
he got shot at there at Ruby Ridge, man. They shot at him.
No,
Damn
Christopher
wounded
Whitcomb
vet.
is the author of that Idaho book that everyone's ranting and raving about. But I'm most concerned about
Hot
not his
seller.
lies he's currently telling, but the lies he used to tell.
What's
And
that
his
book again?
Waco
Is it
River
the
Ridge.
Applebaum book? Is that the one? Which one are you talking about, JJ? With the
Psyop the Mind War Part 2.
Yeah, dude. I don't know the name of it. Give me a second. What's your thoughts on
Oh.
Christopher Dorner while I'm looking at this, Doc?
Oh yeah, Christopher Dorner. Like I said previously, I think Phil uncovered the police that was involved with the Rampart sting. Personally, I think
they
Christopher Dorner
were
found
employing.
out.
What are your thoughts on them employing Lethal Weapon 2 plot on the world?
I mean, I don't really have an opinion on that, JJ, but it sounds kind of quaint.
Well, that was the plot. It was a
that,
former LAPD detective who went rogue and decided he was going to plot out assassinations of his former superiors. That's exactly the narrative
that is interesting.
around Christopher Dorner.
That is interesting. That is interesting. I think he saw corruption and saw the Rampart scandal, and he saw that the LAPD was kind of abusing their power. They had all these ties to these gangs on the street, and kind of I don't know. He had some moral objectification to all that.
I don't discount those aspects, but
I believe he was
what about the reaction to it, dude? They put the whole town on lockdown, dude. Kind of like they did the Boston bombing situations.
DC style, baby. Beltway.
That's what I was looking at. Phil brought up somebody before relative to all these things. I thought was pretty interesting. Rafael Perez.
Yep.
Who's this fella here, Phil?
He connected to Death Row Records.
Yeah,
seems to be right. That's what it says. I don't know this guy though.
He's the one. He is like the focal point around Rampart. He is like the guy who gave up all the information. However, so I had read Randall Sullivan's 2 books, which was Labyrinth, which is about the Biggie and Tupac murders, and then his follow-up, I think it was Dead Wrong, was the name of the follow-up.
Yeah, Dead Wrong.
He basically says that Rafael Perez kind of like implicated cops who were innocent. Like he came forward about certain information, but he was kind of spinning it in a certain way, and the way that the LAPD brass, like Bernard Parks, the chief, were kind of wanting him to. It was not even a limited hangout. It was spun testimony. So eventually, you just start, just kind of like machine gun. You just start spreading it everywhere, and you nail anyone who might just be tangentially connected. And then after a while, nobody knows what the fuck Rampart was about.
That's a good point, dude. That is a good point. And then they make a TV show about it starring Michael Chiklis.
Yep, The Shield. Yeah, it was originally called Rampart.
There we go.
Yep.
I was going to call it The Commish, but I'm pretty sure that's his other show.
The Commish Part 2.
Right.
This time, no hair.
The Commish, the dirty years. Vic Mackey's revenge.
The Commish, the real story.
Yeah, no, I mean, Ramparts was, and even when it connects to the whole, probably more Biggie than Tupac, even though you had members of the LAPD on death row's payroll, and they're not going to get into it. I mean, to be honest, you look at the one movie that came out about it, City of Lies, with Johnny Depp and Forrest Whitaker. That gets
dude, the ghost dog, Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, that gets completely kind of thrown under the rug because of Johnny Depp's the Amber Heard trial.
I've never heard of this film, sir. I've never heard of this film at all.
Yeah, I mean,
this is about the Tupacs and the BIGs, huh?
Yep. Johnny Depp's supposed to be Russell Poole, and I think Forrest Whitaker is supposed to be Sullivan. Sullivan's white, by the way, but they kind of they
made a composite for him,
yeah. But and I don't believe Russell Poole just died of a heart attack in
Speaking of Dutch folk,
implicate
a Van Pool or a Vanderpool,
a little Deutsch,
little Deutschland.
I mean, what happened to that guy was just, and how they buried him in terms of they did that.
I don't know about this or what they do to him, man. What they do to this guy.
I mean, they basically said he was nuts. I mean, that
he was the lead detective on the BIGs.
They pushed him out after, when he was short of 20 years, 20 years on the force, and he was implicating members of the LAPD, and he named names. He was in the Biggie, what was it, the Behind the Music. was always out for the truth. And then he's in, I think it was like a sheriff's office or whatever. He was giving his latest theory on Tupac's death, and he dies of a massive heart attack.
Did he call the Keefe D thing before it happened? Because Keefe D went on Vlad and admitted to basically that he met up with P. Diddy and pulled some hit and bragged about it on there, and then ended up Keefe D was thrown into jail in Las Vegas.
Keefe D was the favorite suspect of another cop named Greg Kading. Greg Kading, from all I've seen, seems to be a piece of shit. Like a guy in the LAPD who was definitely bought and paid for. In the USA Network miniseries they did, it was Josh Duhamel who plays Greg Kading.
Terrible actor.
And by the way, like Kading made an appearance in the Netflix documentary about the Elisa Lam, the one who disappeared at the Cecil Hotel. And then later on, we didn't know where she was, even though like dogs were around the water tower. And it didn't smell like. I'm like, at that point, I'm like, your credibility is shot to shit. I said, you brought dogs, you missed her, and Sullivan does not have a high opinion on Greg Kading. He says Kading believes Poole was batshit crazy, and I'm like, I said that seems to be the ultimate go-to for anyone who wants real answers. And when you're someone who has, that sort of, hey, we're not going to implicate higher ups in the LAPD, and the fact that, with Biggie's murder, Sean Combs fucking, disappeared like the little bitch that he was and made money off of Biggie, rode his coattails with his non-rapping.
Bitch.
Yeah, I mean,
he's talentless. Because he's talentless.
Oh, dude, you gotta be kidding me, dude. When he sang Sting song in the MTV Awards, dude, he just danced around like a fool, dude. That's
every breath you turn.
How dare you, Doc? I think he was pretty talented.
By the way,
I didn't
at other things than music.
The lead detective in
the other things than music, yes, like baby oil.
When
applying baby oil.
When Sting was at the MTV Video Music Awards that year, he looked like friggin' what was it? Copeland. Stuart Copeland's dad, who was dead at that point, pretty much had a gun at his back to sing.
Right. Oh, dude, it's a very memorable performance, notably for Diddy's terrible dancing.
Oh God, yeah. When you start doing the Diddy, the shuck and jive, he's
on a lot of coke. A lot of coke and baby oil infused in the journey that day.
I think the universe evens itself out. So I mean, those guys got a weird price to pay.
Well, until Trump
may be right, because when Bill Cosby was raping folks, Mr. President, his son got murked on the side of an LA highway.
So let me ask you, Phil. So you discount the whole Keefe D thing? You think that was just a display because he is in jail right now?
I think he could be involved. I'm not discounting it completely. However,
Bill's son, he got murked.
27 years old.
Yeah, when it comes to
that's odd.
The whole
27 club.
Tupac and Biggie murder. The fact that Tupac, the initial suspect, what was it? Orlando Anderson gets murdered. Yeah. The initial witness gets murdered. That's suspect. That's a serious issue. And then, like Suge Knight's mob connections, the fact that Death Row Records was funded by Mafia money, specifically the Genovese family. What was it? David Kendall, who I think is a lawyer.
Not David Geffen.
Well, I'm sure Geffen is mobbed up too, but David Kendall, who I believe was the lawyer for Suge Knight, he's connected with the Genovese family. All you got to look at is the history of record labels and mob money. Look at Stiffed by William Novelsetter with MCA and Morris Levy and Corky Vestola. And you look at these guys, you see a history. Sonny Francis, was involved with the record company.
The Bronfmans, Edgar Bronfman Jr. and Warner bought half.
Is there any Lucian Gray? Lucian, what's his name? Lucian
Greaves.
He told him.
Yeah, Lucian Graves. The record executive that. What's his name?
Yeah, but no one talks about how Edgar Bronfman, who's connected to all of these matters, Epstein through his father, right? And his sisters financed the Albany chapter of the Process, aka Nexium.
Yeah. Well, and I know
and he was half of Diddy's shit.
She's not always everybody's favorite, but with One Nation Under Blackmail, Whitney Webb mentions the fact that the one book that tried to get into the Bronfmans, like the guy suspicious death, like you could only like kind of pierce that veil so much before it's like, yeah, nope, you're not going to get that access. You're not going to release
my
the
research, sir. That's an extension of the Rothschilds through the Canadian branch then they get bought into all the liquor companies like Seagram's.
Yeah. Well, and you think about where one of the first allegations about J. Edgar Hoover with the cross-dressing came from, I think it was the wife of a Rosensteel, and Rosensteel, I think, was connected to the Bronfmans. Like,
there you go.
You kind of see this confluence of, you have people who will always kind of be tight-lipped, the omerta types, and other people who like will drop hints because, to be honest, not everybody's friends. People hold grudges, and to be honest, pardon the language, some people are a bunch of little bitches who like to talk out of school and have things, have grievances they want to air. Why do you think Jeffrey Epstein winds up talking to a piece of shit like Michael Wolff, and Steve Bannon's kind of like, go ahead, Jeff, go ahead, you know, because Bannon was pissed he got pushed out by Trump. He's talking more than Michael Cohen, who, Cohen had a friggin', jail sentence lingering over his head because, he was
being like a canary.
Yeah. I mean, they're all, I mean, that somebody had said if Michael Cohen, if Trump was Mafia, Michael Cohen would have been whacked. And it's like, yep, Michael Cohen would have been whacked. Steve Bannon would have been whacked. And I said, some of these other guys, unless it fulfills an agenda, unless it becomes, and one of the stories, so one of the discredited, I read it, and I put some trust in it. The Last Testament of Lucky Luciano talks about whether Appalachin was designed to dethrone Vito Genovese.
The Appalachian meeting, what was that, 57, November 57?
That was November 14th, 1957. Busted up by a guy named Edgar Croswell, which was the ultimate punch in the face to J. Edgar Hoover.
I heard it was busted by Big Daddy and the Mississippi Boys.
Mississippi Boys.
Mississippi Boys.
But with Appalachin, in that book, they even mentioned it in Analyze This, that
I've never seen that, dude. I've never seen
that.
I know the film.
When in the opening, Robert De Niro is kind of narrating, and he talks about kind of like the last time there was like a commission meeting, because when Appalachin happens, it was the first time like hundreds of gangsters got together, and the whole thing is that the story behind it was that Vito Genovese was about to commit that sort of Salvatore Maranzano original sin to basically be like, I am the boss of bosses. In 1957, you already had Frank Costello gets a shot taken at him that creases his scalp, courtesy of Vinnie the Chin Gigante, who says, "This is for you, Frank."
And one of my favorite ones right there.
Yeah. Oh my God. And then later on, he thanks Costello after Costello says, "I don't know who shot me." Frank Scalise, who was the underboss of the Gambinos, gets killed, and he had allegedly been Scalise, Scalise, who gets
like
killed.
Steve Scalise, minority whip there for the Republican Party.
Yeah. And Scalise was Anastasia's underboss, supposedly selling memberships into the Mafia.
I did not know that. That's fucking interesting, man. He's the dude that got shot, dude.
Yep. Anastasia gets killed at the Park Sheraton in October 57, right after having a meeting with Santo Trafficante, who didn't get out of New York quick enough.
Boss, right?
Yep. And they said later on that Anastasia was trying to muscle in on the Havana rackets. And meanwhile, Anastasia was, Murder Incorporated.
But he created Murder Incorporated, right? That's his gambit, right? Now, his bastard son was that guy who played in the driver in Dragnet and the mute alien in Superman #2.
Yep, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, the one who later on was introduced to Sam Israel, head of Bayou Capital Hedge Fund.
Yeah, he was a boxer.
Robert
I think the guy's name. Give me a second, but he claimed to be the bastard son of, what is it?
Jack something, because there's the Tom Hanks connection with Dragnet.
Yeah. Jack. I'll come back to it, but he claimed to be the
Jack Halloran.
Jack O'Halloran. That's right.
Yep. And later on, that's how.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Sam Israel meets Robert Booth Nichols, because Robert Booth Nichols
no problem
is involved with MCA, and he's mob, and later on he has connections with Steven Seagal. Yeah, he looks. I mean, the exception.
I don't know about these Yankee Slickers boys working for the MCA.
But it's funny if we're going to talk about connections with the Mafia. You got the guy who played
little Skinner reference there.
Virgil
little Skinner reference for you there, boys.
Virgil Salazzo in The Godfather, whose brother-in-law was Patsy Everly of the Genovese family, Alatieri, who was in Godfather, and then was also in The Getaway. There was mob connections left and right. But
all up in there, right? All up in there.
Yeah, but with
what the hell's a hamlet?
Like a small town. Yeah, it's such a weird. I mean, considering like the Shakespeare Hamlet, but
get out of here with that.
That's like Dirty Dancing land, right? That's what we're talking about, the Catskills, right? Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, pretty much. There is no Shakespeare in the corner, though.
Tell Shakespeare, whoever wrote that, to pack it up and head on back.
Tell me he's a rookie, dude. Some rookie shit, bud.
Joe Barbara. No, meanwhile, you look at the population; it's 2,600, and when the meeting is held, you're talking over 100 people. So you're already hitting.
Made a little bit of a scene. Made a little bit of a scene, did it not? But like somebody was tipped off, though, right? I mean, they would made a scene, but like I feel like they would have already there was already somebody lying in wait for them to be there, right?
Well, the story goes that Crosswell, who's a state trooper, was familiar with Barbara as a local gangster. There had already been some sort of mini summit in '56. Barbara, the story goes, was ailing. Like, I think he died within a year after the meeting. And he owns like the local Pepsi bottling plant, something like that. And all of a sudden, all the local hotels or maybe the one motel is all booked up. And then you see all these guys are gathered here. They're either inside or outside of the barbecue. And the meeting had barely started when they come in. And I'm telling you, JJ, you got to Analyze This, because watching that meeting and watching these guys make a break for it is the funniest fucking thing you'll ever see. Because
we'll have to review on that one. I've never seen that one yet.
I think they caught over 50 of them.
I knew they rustled up a bunch of them. I knew there was a kind of a mad dash, right?
Yeah, I mean, some got away.
In the 1950s, they had 9,000 people total in Oswego, which is kind of the neighboring town. So, I mean, you're going to get a bunch of mobsters in their fancy six and their fancy cars sticking out in a place like that pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it was a shit show and embarrassed the hell out of J. Edgar Hoover, because he had denied, there was a national crime syndicate. And meanwhile,
he still continued to deny that, did he not? I believe the last time I saw him referencing there was no organized crime was April of 1964, which sounds preposterous because this is after the JFK situation. He
might have acknowledged it publicly, but he had already, after this shit show, started the Top Hoodlum program, which was kind of like, okay, because at this point you already had the McClellan hearings, which were John McClellan is a senator from Arkansas. Yeah, you don't want to open up that whole Bay of Pigs thing. It's never good. And Bobby Kennedy and JFK were counsel. Bobby Kennedy went from being a counsel on the McCarthy hearings to being on the Labor Rackets Committee with John McClellan, and he wound up being kind of like the chief inquisitor, going after guys like Jimmy Hoffa, and had the great back and forth. He hated Hoffa, right? Yeah, and Sam Giancana. He's like, I seem to notice every time I ask you a question, you giggle like a little girl. I thought only little girls giggled, he was antagonistic. And, Appalachin, afterwards, Vito Genovese, that neutered him, basically, because within a couple of years, he goes off on
he was out,
narcotics charge. Yeah, they said it was a cooked up narcotics charge because it was him, Vinnie the Chin, and I believe Joe Valachi went up for that.
I was going to ask you about Valachi, because that was a big part of that too, right?
Yeah, so they Valachi and Genovese wind up in Atlanta, and what happens is at some point I think Genovese hears something, and he goes up to Valachi and kisses him on the lips, and one of the guys is like, the kiss of death. And then Valachi's paranoid as shit. And then he sees a guy who resembles a guy named Joe Beck di Palermo, who's a notorious killer. and he takes a pipe and he beats the guy to death. It's not Joe DiPalermo. It's some poor bastard who just passed a vague resemblance to him. And the guy's name was like Joe Sop or something like that. He did, other than having the name Joe, he did not look like him. And
so Valachi was the first informant, right? These are the hearings I was referring to with Edgar Hoover's trying to claim that there is no organized crime. Well, this dude's telling Congress that he's a member of organized crime.
Yeah, and one of the stories that I read later from Peter Lance's book, Deal with the Devil, is that a lot of Valachi's information came from Greg Scarpa. That Joe Valachi only knew. Yep. That Joe Valachi only knew. Right? No, that's Scarpa. Greg Scarpa.
I got my Italian Scarpa. Hey, you say Scarpa, I say Scarpa.
Do that too. Potato, tomato. Scarpa was the quote unquote Grim Reaper. Greg Scarpa is the one who pulled the plug on the Perenos.
Oh shit! Okay.
In relation to the Deep Throat. The proceeds.
He was like a dirty son of a bitch. I'll tell you that much.
Well, I mean, Greg Scarpa was a piece of shit, and unfortunately his son took some of the brunt of that. But yeah, his handler was worse than John Connolly with Bolger.
No shit. He worked directly for Persico, huh? He was one of Persico's underlings, was he?
Yeah, he was on Persico's side when they had the Colombo War, which started in 1991, and it was Persico's side against Vic Arena, and Arena, who was initially kind of like the hand-picked successor. And yeah, it was a war, and I think it killed 11, 12 people, including 1 or 2 innocent people in that. Shit. And Scarpa was a gunman to the end. I mean, Scarpa at that point, full-blown AIDS from a...
full-blown, dude. Full-blown.
Yep, from a tainted blood transfusion. And
recruited by some of the Mississippi boys down here in FBI, says.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's how they whitewashed that story in Mississippi Burning. Mississippi Burning. It's a.
Shit, I didn't know that, dude. I got to read more about these. I'm vaguely familiar with these circumstances you're describing.
James Chaney, is that Dick Cheney's boy?
Is that Dick Cheney's
daddy? No,
James. Is that Bernie Dahmer? Is that Jeffrey Dahmer's brother? What are we talking about here?
James Chaney was the young black man who was the victim, and they shot. I mean, one of the guys in the movie, they're like, yeah, you only left me you know what? Then I got one, and he shot him in the ass, like after he was already shot multiple times.
So the story was he got AIDS from sharing a needle of steroids with a fellow mobster. I'm not buying it.
Well, he went to Howard,
huh?
I'm not buying a bodybuilder, you say, huh?
He went the Howard Hughes route. Scarpa he basically said he didn't want any fill-in-the-blank hard R blood.
Yep. And
not knowing that his own guy was a needle shredder. Yeah. What do you mean?
Have you seen that, guys? When the big fat guy, he goes, "What murder? He was a good guy." You know what I'm talking about?
So
I forgot who that might have been John Gotti when they arrested Gotti. I think there's a video this like these 2 kids. He's like, "What murder? Good guy."
Yeah, fireworks every 4th of July.
was Michael the Rat Franchisi? He was opposed. Did he testify against Scarpa? He was on the opposing Colombo War side of that situation.
He was too busy podcasting.
Too busy podcasting.
He had already, quote unquote, turned his life around to Christ, or his wife, one or the other.
Right.
Damn. Satan.
Yeah, no. He had already pulled the plug, and I don't know if Sonny was out on the streets or might have been in jail at that point. I mean,
he got out briefly in the 90s. He got out briefly in the 90s, and then went back when his actual biological son there,
John, wasn't it John? I think was
John. His half brother, Michael's half brother, released. Apparently wore wire against his pops, the underboss for the crime. I mean, he's a major figure, dude. Right? He was like the mobster's mobster, Sonny Franchise.
Died at over 100 years old. I mean,
that's some punk shit right there.
Yeah, no, John Franchise was hardcore, and meanwhile, people still don't know what his position was within the Colombos. Was he just the captain? Was he the underboss? It becomes like a Vinnie the Chin thing because when Vinnie the Chin got busted in the 90s. They're like, oh man, he only became boss after Fat Tony Salerno went away for the commission trial. They're like, no,
Fat Tony.
Fat Tony had like a stroke in the late 70s. Vinnie the Chin was running things, and it became kind of like what they used in The Sopranos, where Uncle Junior winds up kind of like, oh, he's the boss, but he's the front because Tony's running things. That's what they did with Vinnie the Chin. And, you know, Vinnie the Chin, like, you know, the power he had, he went from like a punchy boxer. At one point, he's 300 pounds to being lean and mean. And he's running shit left and right. And he's pulling off this act where, despite the fact that the Fed's like, we don't believe it, he still wasn't busted until 1996, 97. And
yeah, Giuliani said he's full of shit. Giuliani was the prosecutor on that, right?
Yeah. Well, like I said, they didn't get him until
Mr. Giuliani.
Yeah. To
Rudolph Giuliani. Now he says that Vinnie the Chin was not the head of the family, right?
How
That's
dare
his
you?
position, right?
How dare you talk about America's mayor like that?
Fat Tony went to jail for 100 years as boss of the Genovese family.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, one of my favorite clips. It was a Netflix thing. It was called Fear City. They have cameramen going and reporters being like, "Mr. Slono, how you doing? Go fuck yourself." It's like, "Thank you very much." And then he's like, "You're welcome." You know, like, I mean, he ran his kingdom from, it was called the Palma Boys Social Club, this shitty, like rat-strewn social club out of Spanish Harlem.
Spanish Harlem, I thought it was the meatpacking district.
Yeah, no, Spanish Harlem, but meanwhile, Fortune magazine's listing him as one of like the most rich mobsters and, you know, this and that. I'm sure he had money. No, Fat Tony.
Oh, Fat Tony. Oh, my mistake. Okay, yeah. Okay, track.
But yeah, no, the whole thing with Vinnie the Chin was you couldn't say his name. You know, like you could get, you know, you could get reprimanded or killed. And even when a guy named Vinnie, who was it? Pete Savino, one of the guys who they got testimony off about Vinnie the Chin with the Windows replacement case and how the mob was shaking down this huge project where they were like making like $2 for every window replacement on apartment buildings in New York City. He said, "Oh, Vincent," and then I think it was Benny Mangano, who was the underboss. Benny Eggs was his nickname.
Benny Eggs.
He's like,
sounds like Eggs Benedict.
Well, his name was Venero Benny Eggs Mangano. But yeah, he's like, "Yo, you don't the Chin, you don't say it," because they were always paranoid, but never paranoid enough.
Right.
Because
eggs don't cook themselves.
Yeah, they got. It wouldn't surprise me, you know. But they got.
I feel like they have some ridiculous. They got to have ridiculous reasons they give out these ridiculous nicknames.
Well, that trial brought back
James Ratface Little Tony.
Well, how about Donnie Brasco when they show lefties nicknames? You know, lefty guns, half cock, horse cock, and you see like 25 nicknames for this guy. But with Vinnie the Chin's trial, it was a murderer's row of informers. You had Pete Savino, you had Sammy the Bull, you had Crazy Phil Leonetti from the Scarfo crime family, Nicky Scarfo's nephew. I said you had all these guys.
Scarfos.
Yeah,
that's the Philly outfit, right?
Well, you're gonna if we're on the Scarpos with Mesa, you're gonna have to bring me up to speed on whatever the hell I didn't know there was an OKC bombing element to all this.
Yeah, with Greg Scarpa Jr.
Yeah, with the Scarpa. I had no idea, dude. That's fucking wild, dude.
He was in Colorado, so I think he was close to where Terry Nichols was, because I think Nichols was in the
Orange Supermax.
Yeah, because he also got information off Ramsey Youssef, so there's also a World Trade Center
Supermax. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they just
Ted K. That's where a lot of these. That's where Dwight York.
Is that a Supermax for?
Dwight York.
If you want a Supermax, sir, that's gonna be $250 extra.
There was two prisons that were considered Supermax. There was Marion in Illinois, which is where they put John Gotti, but the one in Colorado was yeah, I think so, or Joliet. But yeah, I mean, pretty much.
Joliet, you're right. Run a mission from God.
Damn right. The one in Colorado, I remember when it was first being built, and they talked about like how the showers were timed, like they were automated, and yeah, they're like, we don't fuck around. This is like the serious one. And yeah, Kaczynski was there, Terry Nichols, Greg Scarpa Jr., Ramsey Youssef, Gas Pipe Casso died there.
Gas
like
there it
also,
is.
dude.
Gas
That's gotta be a good one right there. Good story behind that one.
Well, by the way, I mean, the feds buried him once he said Sammy Gravano dealt drugs. That was it. That invalidated his agreement.
He was out. He was teaching the carpentry class out back there. Dead gay.
Hey Phil, I meant to ask
what
you.
Does Greg Scarpa Jr. have to do to get himself in Florence Supermax prison?
His basically being being the heir apparent to the Grim Reaper. I mean, he was involved in some murders, but also despite some of the information he provided, there was also the inconvenient information that he possessed. And when he started talking about,
you usually got to bomb somebody, traffic some children, or do some heinous shit like murder a lot of people. How many murders we do?
Or be connected to extremist networks.
Once he started talking about
Nazi groups.
That's right.
Tudor's Biscuit World, you're connected to them. You're in there, buddy.
His father's relationship with Lynn DeVecchio, the FBI agent. That started causing problems. That wasn't something the FBI wanted to hear. Just kind of like with the Whitey Bulger case, anytime people started saying, oh, well, we're not just talking about, the Whitey Bulger and John Connolly thing. We're talking about, how the FBI should be paying for,
there's no checks and balance to it, right? It's one thing to have your lead agent in charge of an office colluding with his Muppet Mafia operations. Basically, he himself being a board member in their operations of sorts, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's information they'll accept to a point, and then anything else just becomes gratuitous, on their point. Kind of like when a guy like John Martirano with the Whitey Bulger case, who was a hitman, killed at least 24 people, is testifying about certain hits he did for Bulger. And then when victims' families are asking Martirano, and then the feds are like, how can you trust a piece of shit like this? And it's like,
right.
Wait a minute. It's like, don't look behind the curtain, because the hypocrisy is galling, but it's just don't believe your lying eyes, even though everything we
all that stuff we're talking about the other night on the FX2, occult and esoteric abuse, or with that Neely character, right?
Yeah,
they're just making shit up, working with the cops, with the prosecutor's office to their own ends, because they're within they've created their own little faction within these offices to try to get to that gold, right? So it's not even like an institutionalized. I mean, it is institutionalized corruption, but like very specific corruption within the corruption.
Well, and we're thinking about that. And by the way, another recommendation: Smoking Aces.
Oh, dude, I love that movie.
Yeah.
When Jeffrey Epstein died, that's the first thing when he allegedly done, right? That's the first thing I thought of. There'd be like a guy like him, you'd have like a dozen different groups trying to kill him, right?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, that movie, like every now and then these screenwriters come out with movies, and that was Carnahan, I think, who wrote that. But it's kind of like
Narc as well, which is another revealing movie.
Ray Liotta classic.
Yep.
Ray Liotta killed it in that one.
Shout out the Eagles, Phil.
You do start questioning. You're like, oh shit, maybe every now and then people kind of dip into a little bit more of the, oh my God, it's so strange, it has to be fiction. And it's like, no, it's true. Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about Ray Liotta, I mean, one of Ray Liotta's last movies is Cocaine Bear, and the whole,
which is about the bluegrass conspiracy.
Yeah,
bluegrass conspiracy. The damn company.
Well, and I just found
the company.
I said to JJ,
now can y'all come up with a gayer name than the company? I mean,
it's called RR Channel. And on that note, it's perfect time for my favorite game here every week here on Fridays. Thank you all for joining us here again. And thank you, gents, for joining me here again to get a little GCD. It's called Who's Your Daddy? What Does He Do?
You tell me, who is your daddy and what does he do?
It's more of a gratuitous game I'm playing tonight to tell RR to go fuck yourself, RR, and your Muppet friends at Langley. That is definitely, in my opinion, and otherwise, Ted Theodore Bundy is the biological son of William Colby. And it fits perfectly in the Muppet world that I see as the Phoenix program come home. Satanic Murder Inc., kind of like Albert Anastasia's Murder Inc., but with a Satan element to all this.
Cult element.
So
yeah, I mean,
Lucy's got her own conspiracy theories there.
Yeah, they're playing
You mean to tell me that this guy, Scarpa Jr., the son of the Grim Reaper, he learns about the OKC bombing materials that are still out in the wind, so to speak, by being locked up near Terry Nichols? Because my understanding, they're on 24-hour lockdown there. You know what I mean? They're not allowed to socialize. I mean, I know we've heard other stories other than that, like, oh, Ted Kaczynski became friends with Ramsey Youssef or whatever. I think that was a narrative that was going around at one point.
Well, if you're communicating through kites, throwing little like pieces of paper.
Sure, okay.
Well, and who's to say? Yeah, I mean, come on. How much are these guards making?
Fishing. They call it fishing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was getting at, dude. Where's the government involved in all these operations, right? So, like, they found bombing materials. I didn't know anything about this narrative, dude.
I think they allowed Scarpa Jr. to be used. I mean, he did have information, but as I said, I think when that information he had, and he kind of had that sort of, excuse me, that gas pipe Casso inconvenient information, they shut it down. I mean, I believe he did get released, but they punished him much further than maybe it should have been. I believe.
I just didn't know there was still bombing materials out there. Do you think there's? I mean, I have to read that case. I'm wondering if there's more bombing materials out there, because we don't know the whole story of OKC, even with all this SPLC stuff, right? Which I'm sure Doc has a lot of thoughts on the SPLC revelations.
Oh yeah,
we don't know a lot about all that stuff, right? Yeah, I mean, we're starting to understand more of the manufactured machinations of those events: Waco, OKC, Ruby Ridge. Christopher Whitcomb's territory. So this guy who just comes about a year ago, I started talking about Idaho Contra, the ongoing hood rat shit, very technical term, hood rat shit, folks. Enterprises of Colby's Queers. Bill Colby's programs come home to wage domestic terror, murder, and hood rat shit on the American general populace. Go fuck yourself, RR. But Christopher Whitcomb, lo and behold, an Idaho Contra Muppet comes and appears and writes a fucking book about the Idaho 4 situation. Color me not shocked. But this dude was from 1991 through 1997. Go ahead. What were you saying, Landon?
I said, how's he tied in with the green fella? Our favorite Mr. Green.
That's a good question. I think it's actually through his old boss, Louis Free, that Phil was talking about earlier, right? And he was at the LA riots too, Phil. Christopher Whitcomb was.
Okay. All
right. His boss during that time was One-Eyed Louie, the Louis Free there, who's Hunter Biden's handler, and gets Hunter Biden out of all of his troubles. And they just give Louis Free.
Damn it, back to the Biden crime family. I
knew it. Get the Biden boys together here, Louis. So Louis Free went to go work for Coomer Scott Green, and apparently made him a very wealthy man. Hold on, I need to get a beverage there, gents. If I may take a quick.
Yeah, I wanted to ask.
Now, she's reporting her neighbor, who's ex-Catholic, fired the man, and let her close to talk to. Well, she doesn't know what to do. She says we stopped her for Colleyville. Says she hates me ever since I arrived. Says I'm not allowed to go on her because it would be too challenging in court. That I would not be an occupant of an assembly hall in her state. That they're saying that she's having fun. Not with yet this policy. That's Liver says she's moved in. And that she just, she don't want the challenge. Here we go. She plays with Pittsburgh Steelers. She wants no Bowling Green, Ohio. That's bad up, but that she wants someone else. Here we go. Here we go. Now she says she hates it. She's got a grudge for 27 years. She's letting the show says I. And she won't let go of the pages. Here we go. She says she doesn't take this from liquor. She says the word hate every day. I've never been in a dwelling. Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go. Wait, we lost a couple.
Yeah, what happened?
We got a president down. El Presidente, welcome back, sir.
Dead president's back.
That guy has my vote, whoever he is.
Whoever the hell that boy is, he's got my vote. All right. Ooh, I left this out in the car. It's a bit warm, but it's I like how they've engineered pod in all sorts of foods and formats. You know what I mean?
Oh, St. Ides, hell yeah.
This one's this is a Georgia peach tea.
Drinking St. Ides in 2026.
The highwayman. The highwayman himself, Mr. Nelson's got one out.
You talking about David Allen Coe, sir? Hopefully they remembered his name.
Oh, yeah, R.I.P. David Allen Coe.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Pack.
Hopefully they didn't call him Merle Haggard. You know what I mean? You know, they never call him by his name, you know? Old David Allen Coe. I don't know where we're going with that. So what you had brought something up here, Mr. President. What do you got here?
What was this?
The bosses that attended the Appalachin meeting.
Oh no, that wasn't me. That was earlier. I had
okay.
I had the girl pulled.
What are your all's thoughts on this the current repeating of history with another presidential assassination attempt there as we started this conversation earlier? I am curious to hear your all's thoughts now that we've got some details.
Obviously they're a bad aim, it seems.
The only thing I see is fucking one Secret Service dude shooting another Secret Service dude.
Yeah, pretty much.
Secret Service dude, he hit the Colin Kaepernick knee down, and
dude, he's not a good shot, dude. And I'm pretty sure I saw that little tiny lady who couldn't get her pistol back in the holster at the Butler event. I'm pretty sure I saw her on deck there at the
a lesbian.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
Let's be honest about that situation.
Gotta represent the LGBT community. In
did you all see the canine? Go ahead.
I said that you got to represent the LGBT community as a Secret Service detail.
Well, yeah,
absolutely.
That's in the Constitution, right?
That's the LGBT. All parties will be represented. Damn it!
It's about as real as Santa Claus. So
wait a minute, Santa Claus is not real? Oh shit!
Oh shit! Breaking news! Get out of here. Did y'all see the canine handler? I got a video or somewhere. Did you see the canine handler talk to the alleged assailant moments before he does his Naruto run into the security elements?
No.
Y'all see that?
No.
The canine handler, there's a little custody, like little custodian closet or kitchen area. Very double Sirhan reminiscent in the kitchen.
A little Sirhan action going on in the kitchen.
Well, you know what? I think it was Colonel Mustard with the candlestick in the kitchen. But I got a video here I saw on Twix earlier. But yeah, there's a Secret Service. Well, there's a law enforcement officer with a dog talking to the man. Literally, like, oh yeah, you're cool, dude. See you later, and then walks away. And the dog kind of appears to have alerted on the subject. And then the dude just Naruto runs in towards the to a herd of gunfire where apparently the only person that got hit was another Secret Service agent by another Secret Service agent.
Always friendly fire.
Right? And so it's got Pat Tillman. That was a bit more intense.
Them damn blood packets. They had to pop them blood packets open.
Did the Secret Service?
This is one of the weird. Like, I already had a lot of questions. Oh, go ahead, sir.
No, I said, did the Secret Service agent yell out his name before he got shot? Kind of
right. Hey, Tim, you're up, buddy. Or Ray Cole, you're up, buddy. So you can see this door right here. He comes out of. We see the man the alleged assailant walk through this door moments beforehand, and then this officer right there. He is walking in, right?
John Wick.
Assailant, and an officer and a dog follow him. Right there's a dog seems to be alerted to something. And then what does he just wave to him here? They exchange some sort of pleasantries. Like, oh yeah, you're cool. You got a rifle, bud. You're dude in a tie with a rifle. You're good.
You're good.
You know what I mean?
Let him on in.
That's what it seems like. Because they appear to be discussing something there. And then the dude Naruto runs. See, he has his rifle out, dude. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? And where was the rifle when he went into the room? Right? He doesn't have the.
Dude, look at TSA. They fucking dipped. TSA dipped.
Oh yeah, dude. That big girl from that big old lady, dude. She was no wait. She's like, oh wait.
Protect and serve.
Gunfire. Oh wait. I can almost hear that.
Was she a great big fat person?
Never forget.
I can almost hear that, like, you know, the mangled George W. Bush line. We got a saying here in Texas: "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, won't get fooled again." You know, like
one of my favorite. It exhibits the brilliance of George Bush. Dude, I can see why people voted for him.
Little J. Cole.
I mean, come on. I'm willing to give you Butler, even though Butler was a huge, like, movie shoot area. They filmed part of Night of the Living Dead there.
That damn Hollywood set out there.
You
Come
know?
on,
so, well, no, I mean, I still ask. So, did the firefighter, you know, what was the name, Compertori or whatever, not die? Like, what are we talking about? Are we talking like certain aspects of 9/11, or did they literally whack a guy like we're talking like it's Snake Eyes? What are we talking about that day? Like, and again, I'm not willing to give Trump the benefit of the doubt for everything, but I said, who's to say that wasn't something completely coordinated with elements of law enforcement and Secret Service that might be co-opted by, I don't know, a 3-letter agency that's not United States controlled.
Iran, you're telling me?
So, you know,
them
that has
fucking Iran, them boys in Iran again. Well, no, I think in large part they just make shit up, dude. Because who's going to tell them otherwise? Like, I've yet to find a picture of Lance Twiggs, the alleged furry boyfriend of Todd Robinson, the alleged assassin of Charlie Kirk. This is the Twiggs family. That's his mother, the Olympic gymnast. She's written a number of books as well. I can confirm a lot of these details around the family. I can find birth records for these children, not Lance. He's not in any of the photographs.
Which one's the furry?
From his mother's
he
Facebook.
Don't have a birth record, Jay. He's an animal, JJ. He doesn't have one.
I'm just saying, dude. He's a furry, dude. Maybe he's born from a raccoon.
He's a hybrid.
They don't
need
that birth certificate.
Hold on. I'm gonna drop something. He's a blue chicken.
The avians are at it again.
I mean, hey, yes, I got to do a Corey Good, David Wilcox sort of correlation.
Well, that's what this is one of those sad moments in time where I actually agree with our art channel, but still go fuck yourself, Andrew Muppets. But, you know, Corey Compitori, I haven't done a full background on him, but he very well could be a manufactured character for all I know.
I mean, let's face it, you could wind up seeing him at something else, kind of the way certain people showed up at the Super Bowl after a certain event in 2012.
Yeah, right? Looking identical to the alleged victims.
That girl, the teacher from Sandy Hook, man, she popped up there and she was popping up in, it was in the Boston bombing too, right?
I believe it was her stepfather was one of the major media perpetrators of the Sandy hoax. He worked for the Hartford Courant.
Well, I was just saying today, so someone had asked about something with Alex Jones with InfoWars, and they're like, you know,
we're off of YouTube now.
But
is it real?
Well, he's supposedly contesting the whole thing with the Onion and whatnot, but someone was like, well, you know, if the U.S., I think it might have been Mai Maria, who's a very smart person who's been on podcasts, asking about, you know, when the government comes for someone like Alex Jones. And I said, I'm like, well, look at David Irving when he asked a question about, you know, 1939 to 1945 and whether it be how many were killed, and then Germany sues them and Austria sues them.
I'm getting off the stream now. I'm getting off. I got
well, no,
easy there, like, Brooks and Dunn, Mai Maria.
In terms of, like, not even saying like, no, but if you question aspects of it, does that mean, like, does that skepticism merit, oh, well, you can't talk about it? Like, no, like, anything should be open. And again, kind of like,
free game.
A certain other person who just recently has been, in the news a lot, talking about a certain widow and why is she off limits, and asking questions when she has decided to throw herself into the arena. When you decide to get involved in politics and people start asking questions about your assassinated husband, it'd be like if Jackie talking about yes, the Aryan with the with the intelligence connections. Yeah,
Commando Kirk is worth knowing.
Paratrooper Kirk.
Yes, the one soon to be in the new the new Housewives show with Candace Owens. Yes, the
real Housewives, real Beverly Hills. The real Housewives.
The Real Housewives of Gladio. Yes.
There you go. The original Housewives of Gladio. I'd watch that, actually. I'd definitely watch that.
It'd be entertaining, I'm sure. But, and when they be like, yeah, let's go search for Shelly Cabot.
Dude, here's my recent theory on them kids. We're all getting Leonardo DiCaprio Inception here. In the film Inception, Leonardo DiCaprio can't see the faces of his children in his dream state. And you can't find the faces of them Kirk kids. Not that I'm out there looking for children's pictures, but I'm saying, and trying to do an analysis.
Does that mean he's in on it, JJ?
Right? What is that, sir?
For that to be true, he has to be in on it.
Well, of course. Yeah, I think so, for sure. I think he in part lived in a Truman Show, and in doing so, you can get a lot of things perpetrated against without that person realizing what's going on because they're already in a Truman Show. But yeah, there's no pictures of her pregnant. There's no pictures of these kids' faces. They're always like holding him with their face away from the camera. There's no like, oh, there's the Kirk kids running around the TPUSA event. There's no photos like that. You know what I mean? There's not the PR guy. Hey, isn't it cool?
Will
the
Smith's
future
kids,
TPUSA leaders.
Transgender.
There's none of those photos, right?
And we just took a complete and total. Did you see today's newspapers about who just asked that TPUSA be disbanded?
No.
Vivian Kubrick.
No, the Scientologist, dude. We got more Scientologists in the mix. Is that what you're telling me all this?
Vivian Kubrick. Yep.
She's a lifelong Scientologist.
I had no idea. But yeah, she was thrown in. She's like, Erica Kirk is creepy. Like her entire aspect. And here's the thing. So
do you think Erica Kirk's Scientology handler, John Mappin, would know this? He's the guy who's behind TPUSA UK.
Wouldn't surprise me in the least. But he's a big-time
Scientologist.
And again, I don't want to use the two words because they are Scientology, but there was, so in Long Island, about 30 plus years ago, we had the shooting on the Long Island Railroad with a guy named Colin Ferguson, who like shot a rush hour train.
Oh yes.
And then defended himself. But he killed there was a father and son. He killed the father, the son got paralyzed, and then the widow ran for Congress and basically on sympathy. And she became a long-term congresswoman. And it's like, well, okay, we'll give you that. Okay, we understand why you're going to, and let's maybe you're going to affect change. But then when you start maybe going into other areas, oh, well, I'm going to question things. Well, how dare you? She's a widow. Well, fuck you. She's a fucking congresswoman. Why can't we question it? Erica Kirk took over TPUSA. She's basically she is like the Alan Glick in the Stardust. She is the front person for the other elements, the Ben Shapiros, the people who have taken over TPUSA and basically probably forced Charlie Kirk out or either whacked him or helped relocate him to an area he'll never come back from. And, after a while, I'm like, why the hell can we not question these things? And I don't even care who it is. We should be able to question it. It's like, I'm not going to her house. Yep. That's the whole thing about the whole Sandy Hook narrative and I've read.
Yeah, Alex Jones sent people to these parents' houses. That never happened, though. That was all.
Yeah, I've read Jim Fetzer's book. It's not that bad. You have to question things. Mm.
Nobody died at Sandy.
I knew he was coming up. I knew he was coming up. I knew he was coming up.
I read his book, and there are certain questions to be asked. And again, I'm not 100% endorsing his work, but I said, why can't you ask questions? Because I've literally had questions with people in law enforcement, and they're like, well, why don't you believe it? And I said, well, here's the thing. It's like when you start asking questions about, whether it be in Sandy Hook, the medical examiner, the weird laughing, and I just hope it doesn't fall down around us.
Carver, that creepy son of a bitch, right? He died a mysterious death.
Yeah, or the person who said, I didn't do it, I had nothing to do with it, running
all
through
the houses that were bought on Christmas.
His nephew would go on a later school rage rampage and get put in jail for over that.
Yeah, this is not there's just weird things where it's like, okay, there's the Tucker Carlson clip. Okay, case closed, time to move on, and it's like bullshit.
How about old Uncle Gene there next door? Gene. Shit. The creepy next door neighbor, he's like, oh, I found these
I
kids.
took a bunch of them in. Yeah. Like, why is it wrong? Like, again, not going to someone's house and badgering them. Why can't you ask questions? What about everybody's
loss of narrative, Phil?
That's a good indicator of propaganda, right? When you can't question something, right?
You can't question why the dad is where the dad's laughing, where Sir Robert Parker is laughing, and then all of a sudden, my name's Robbie Parker, and it's like, shit. I saw that. That's the Bill Clinton video at Ron Brown's funeral, and where someone
and the Parkers moved back to Mormon country because they're Mormons, and his father-in-law died a mysterious death a few months later.
Well, hey,
there's a trail of bodies in the wake and the aftermath of Sandy Hook.
And to be honest, we were talking about earlier about how like certain things kind of get buried. That could be one of them. Like that could be one of those things. Like, yeah, no one's going to talk about. Oh, probably died of a broken heart, and like they'll bury it. I mean, when you have the
PR rep from the Connecticut State Police, J. Paul Vance, no relations. I wonder if him and Erica Kirk met on trying out for like reality TV shows like Survivor together or something. He was always trying to get into Hollywood stuff, doing Hollywood stuff, just like in a very similar capacity.
Well, Hollywood is very good at whitewashing, the truth. I mean, that's how you get based on a true story. That's how you can take, they say like with any true story, it's like, oh, it's 85% true. Well, let's go. I mean, we talked about it with American Made. That was not 85% true. That was probably true. Yeah. First of all, Tom Cruise was nothing like Barry Steele. You watch any of these movies, even a movie like An American Gangster. It's like, okay, Frank Lucas was, a big time drug dealer. Was he bigger than Nicky Barnes? Probably not. Was he involved in?
His son's bigger than Nicky Barnes. His son works for Joe Rogan. David Lucas, the comedian.
I will push back a little bit in their
defense. We got them, Mr. President.
They only have a certain amount of time to put stuff down. So to an extent, I will give them the benefit of the doubt. But it is odd that the names that are left out of these situations and which allegiance they pledge to.
I'm going to say the real OG is Frank Matthews. The real OG Phil is Frank Matthews. That's the real
one who disappeared off the face of the earth, right?
The guy who disappeared had Cuban connections and was moving more weight and stacked more money than Frank Matthews. But unfortunately, they'll never make a movie about him.
Well, since you mentioned Jeffrey Epstein, Doc, I got a question for you, Jeffrey Epstein related. Are you familiar with this?
I didn't mention Jeffrey Epstein.
We didn't know this, but in the 1990s, there was a conspiracy theorist with a public access show where he ranted about crazy crackpot theories every single day, and nobody took him seriously. But then after he died, it turned out he was right about everything. In the late 80s and throughout the 1990s, there was a man named Clay Tiffany who had a public access TV show called Dirge of the Charlatans, where he would sit for hours on end and just rant and ramble about all kinds of conspiracy theories about elite government corruption within the city. He would talk about judges laundering money through nonprofits and NYPD officers falsifying crimes to throw people in jail and members of the NYPD acting as roving gangs and enforcers for the mob. But then something happened to Clay Tiffany. In March of 1997, he was pulled over by an NYPD officer named Nick Tartagliani, who said that he had seen Clay Tiffany's show and wanted him to stop talking about the NYPD and that he was connected.
I'll say the rest of that clip. Jeffrey Epstein's cellmate beat the shit out of that dude. He later died a mysterious death. The guy was running a public access conspiracy theory TV show, basically, right? Calling out parapolitics and crooked shit, hood rat shit.
Oh, really? Wow. That's quite a story right there.
Yeah,
Can I call out the T-shirt that guy who was presenting the video was wearing? It said "Merry Christmas, you filthy animal." He was wearing a Home Alone.
It's a bit odd for a man his age, right?
I just had to. I had to call that out, but
But how wild is that? The dude runs he's on public access talking shit about local politicians, and they send out a mobbed up NYPD enforcer dude after him, right? Go ahead, sir. What were you saying?
So maybe we should take crackpots a little bit more seriously when they make claims. At least investigate them.
Right, dude.
I mean, Chicago had a guy
that,
named
dude, until, like, a lot of shit came out well after his death. Even he died early, but they beat the shit out of that boy right there.
You had guys like Sherman Skolnick in Chicago, and he was a guy who was a conspiracy theorist, and I think had a local access show. He was probably had more credibility than Mae Brussel did. And I said, and everybody, a lot of people talk about Sherman Skolnick. Skolnick, like Louis Skolnick, Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, great
That's
film.
Kind of like, but Sherman Skolnick.
You know why Mae Brussel was pushed? Because her father was like some wealthy owner of like department stores in
that
LA.
Was her grandfather, her father was the rabbi.
Oh, her grandfather. Okay. Yeah, that's right. He was
the Jewish rabbi to the stars.
In addition to that, I mean, there's been allegations that Mae Brussels might have some military connections or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, she had a Jeffrey Epstein connection.
She's connected with Krasner.
There you go. She had a Jeffrey Epstein connection. Epstein was paying Krasner's medical bills.
Yeah.
Krasner was her editor, dude. Everything she did was through Krasner.
It was Realist, wasn't it? That was the name of the newsletter, Realist.
Yep, the Realist,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So this is how I'm familiar with some of Sherman Skolnick. His investigations also revealed corruption at BCCI, the one connected to all that Idaho business.
Yep. But yeah, he was involved
big buddy Bill Colby.
Bill fucking Colby. I like to like Bill Colby and Martin Van Buren for president.
But one of the cases that Skolnick exposed got John Paul Stevens, a Supreme Court justice, that got him prominence from there. So, and even though people would later on call him like a conspiracy gadfly, Skolnick, people listen to him. And I think he had talked about the fact that, what was it? And we're talking about 25 years since her passing, Chandra Levy being a honey trap.
Ooh.
What about?
I used to drink coffee at the Starbucks, and they call the Fruit Loop. It's called DuPont Circle area of Northwest DC. The last place Chandra Levy was last seen was at that Starbucks, the Shrine of the Fish Goddess. And I would go there and do homework. And this is years ago. This is like almost 20 years ago. And when I was stationed there, and I got to know the staff there. One of the local, whatever they call themselves, I don't know, Starbuckians. Baristas. There you go.
Coffee filler upper.
Coffee. Hey, big coffee filler upper. Get over here.
Coffee, dude.
He was telling me that was Chandra Levy's last known sighting was in that very Starbucks, and two other brunette women in their mid-20s who also were later found murked their bodies dumped in national parks, which caused the whole chaotic element to the investigation as it did. Even if Chandra Levy didn't have such a high profile, that would have, much like Vince Foster. There you go, Vic Foster. Much like that investigation was already, they fire William Sessions. That's when we get Louis Free, right? Was that morning?
On a mound site.
They fired.
Mound site, yes, sir. Fort Marcy Park.
They fired Bill Sessions the day before. It's the day they announce Louis Free as the new director. Yeah, Vince Foster says goodbye to Linda Tripp, is one of the last people to see him alive. And, the story goes anything from, he shot himself in the White House parking lot to
he got robbed and nobody robbed
Marcy.
him.
Oh, like
aliens,
yeah. And then you talk about, what was the one guy, Patrick Knowlton, who sees people around Foster's Honda, and it becomes
he's an interesting character, sir, if I may. Patrick Knowlton, his half sister was one of those cough scientist ladies that was pushing a bunch of propaganda a couple years back.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Stephen Greer's sister?
Knowlton was harassed. I know that. I mean, he.
I have no doubt he stumbled on some nonsense, right? So the story is he goes in there to take a piss. That's where they always go to the rest area, right? To go take a piss.
Yep. Or maybe a meetup. Who knows?
We were speaking about the pioneers of comedy and politics and kind of crackpots. My favorite's Mort Saul. I'm a Mort Saul fanboy.
I mean,
I'm a huge Mort Saul fan.
Mort Saul and Dick Gregory were like two, activists and comedians. Because Dick Gregory, I think, was also, besides being an activist, was kind of like a comic. Mort Saul was
and friend of the show. Yeah, they were all state comedians, and their third party was friend of the show, John Barber, friend of Operation GCD. Dick Gregory wrote the cover to his 1967 album. It ain't easy being white, I think was the name of it. It's quite hilarious. It's commentary on the social status of race in America at the time.
Lenny Bruce, another OG.
Yep.
Very much in the kind of the vein of Lenny Bruce, right?
Mm-hmm.
These were Canadian men, Mort Saul and John Barber, at least. Obviously not Dick Gregory, but I don't think he was a Canadian fella.
Pretty cool though, just to see how far that. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were kind of the epicenter of conspiracy theory. Those three, between Barber, Dick Gregory, and Mort Saul.
Yeah,
Put them on the map.
Absolutely.
That's who put JFK on the map was Mort Saul.
I mean,
Sure.
Mort Saul, I think, helped. Might have
Jim Garrison's his work.
Yep, absolutely.
Shout out Jim Garrison.
There was probably more integrity with like
Carrie
your.
Yikes, Kerry Thornley.
There was probably more integrity with the comedians than there were certain people who were like quote unquote investigators on Garrison's staff, because you had the infamous Bills like Bill Gurvich, Bill Boxley, who were CIA assets.
You think he was infiltrated, Garrison? I think his work. I think he was infiltrated. I think he knew that, Phil. I think he was the type to give them false information to. I think.
Oh, absolutely.
I believe he was of that intelligence.
The one guy who, again, some of these guys I think came on, but then you had a guy like Pershing Gervais, who was someone who Garrison knew for a while, and Gervais is kind of like Michael Rooker's character in JFK, who sells them out. They eventually, dig up, they do kind of like a BS prosecution of Garrison for taking bribes, and they never found anything. The whole thing where the assassination community eventually, not all of them, but certain people did go against Garrison. Guys like Harold Weisberg, who was an OG investigator, who was the other one? Sylvia Marr. I don't know about Mae Brussels so much, but because to be honest, she was not technically a first generation assassination researcher, but some of these guys
she basically borrowed everything from Garrison, right? I mean, in large part.
Yeah. I mean, Garrison said at one point, he was like, I am this close to breaking the case. And I think a lot of it went with David Ferry. And then, that probably would have given a lot of information.
Mr. Clay Shaw.
Well, you were mentioning the Appalachian meeting, sir. There's an intersection
the Dallas Hunters Club.
Joseph Banano writes a book after the Appalachian meeting, and he's basically the chairman of the five families, right? The chairman of the board there in New York City. He's also on the board of Permandex with Clay Shaw.
Yeah.
And John J. McCloy.
Yeah. And I mean, within a year after JFK's assassination, you have Banano's quote unquote kidnapping, where he's about to have to go for a grant. I think he's supposed to report for a subpoena, and then supposedly is abducted by his cousin, Stefano Magaddino, the Buffalo boss, and he's gone for about a year and a half. And, there's a war for control of the Banano family. They called it the Bananas War, because he tries to install his son, Bill. Yeah, well, gotta love the New York media. We don't go for
they got some good nicknames, for sure.
Yeah, Joe Bananas, Joe Banana. But it's
they call him Joey Bananas, right? Is that what they call him?
Yep. And then, you think about it though, like Joe Banano tries to orchestrate the murder of members of the commission, Carlo Gambino, Tommy Lucchese, Sam Giancana, with the cooperation of Joe Magliacco, who succeeds Profaci in what eventually becomes the Colombo family. And the only reason why is Joe Colombo is a fucking rat and rats out Banano, which they kind of show in the offer. They kind of give a little bit of a hint to that. Yeah. By the way, that is a good Giovanni Ribisi role. That'll give him credit for. But
that was pretty good.
They said we need a mind map for all the different names.
They banish him.
And they got a rewind function, don't they, boy? Hey, boy, you got a rewind on that newfangled device?
Playback button.
They exile him out to Arizona. Meanwhile,
he got retired to Scottsdale, right?
Yeah, and then the FBI under COINTELPRO tries to foment a mob war, because that's where a bunch of guys are retired, and a couple of guys set off bombs in and around the mobsters' houses. And
it's just a welcome to town gift, sir. They're just saying it's some folks deliver a pie, the mafia delivers a bomb,
or a horse head in your bed.
Pretty much. Joe Banano exacts the ultimate revenge because he writes a man of honor, which gives Rudy Giuliani the blueprints to charge the commission.
And Giuliani was happy to tell
Not
everybody
this shit
that too.
bum again, Mr. Giuliani.
Oh, Rudy.
Sorry, we root hard for the Yankees. We gotta do Rudy. Sorry, with the horrible comb over.
I don't want to go back. I don't want to get too far off what we were just talking about, but I did find that Mort Saul clip I was thinking of. Now you mentioned there, Landon. Mort Saul, legendary comedian. This is one of the bits that gets. I think is probably not one of his best stand-up bits, but I enjoyed his humor just in all respects. This is a tour of Los Angeles in the early '90s.
We got any audio?
No audio. No audio.
Goddamn YouTube.
You hear that?
No.
Damn it.
It's the ghost.
I'll put a link in there, man. He makes some great commentary and observations on the state of the downfall of America.
Mort Saul, the original accelerationist.
Was he?
Peter Thiel, that's where they got it from.
He lived a long life too, Mort Saul. I think he passed like a couple of years ago. He
did, in his late 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the greatest, man.
You look at Lenny Bruce, not even close. I mean, in terms of
no, he died in 66, right? Or 60.
Mort Saul died in 2021. He was 96.
Yeah.
94, 94.
Well,
Garland died, what,
John Barber's still alive.
12, 13?
What was that, sir? Go ahead, Landon.
Said Carlin died. He died, what, 2012, 14? 2000.
Yeah, he was probably about 80 then, right? I don't think he was quite in his. He was not a nonagenarian yet, I don't think.
George Carlin was 70.
93, dude. He's still alive and kicking in Vegas.
Carrot Top still
does
out.
some shows on his YouTube channel occasionally. I mean to try to get him back, but what's that, Doc?
I was just laughing at William Van Buren saying Carrot Top.
I say all kinds of shit, man. I just throw it out there.
This has
he was a contemporary to Mort Saul, Dick Gregory.
Whatever.
He worked for Chuck Barris. He was the first host of the Gong Show.
Oh hell yeah, Chuck Barris. That's a favorite subject of mine. Hell yeah.
I mean, John Barber basically invented what is known as reality TV today. He created a show called Real People. This is what he put Jim Garrison on this show. That's what got him fired.
Well, have you ever heard the story of with Jim Garrison popping up on Johnny Carson's show?
Yeah. Wasn't that Mort? That was
because of Mort Saul. Yeah, Mort Saul was
because of Mort Saul
talking a bunch of shit to Carson.
And
in 79,
Garrison wanted to show the picture of the tramps, and they show it in JFK. It's actually a deleted scene in JFK, and John Larroquette is supposed to be Johnny Carson, like a Johnny Carson stand-in. And at one point, like Garrison's like, he's like, what do you want to do? He's like, I could dance, and Carson's like, not on my fucking show. Because everybody's like, oh, Johnny Carson's such a nice guy. No, Johnny Carson was a mainstream water carrier.
Yeah, John Barber hated Carson, and Carson hated John Barber. So when Frank Sinatra
wasn't a good journalist.
Carson, the first thing Sinatra did was hire John Barber as a writer for the Tonight Show, just to stick it to Carson. He was Frank Sinatra's personal writer for a few years during that stint and preceding and after, I guess. John Barber was. He was pretty tight with Sinatra at one point in time.
Yeah, Sinatra's trajectory is always interesting because he went from being a
super weird, dude. You really get down to
Democrat to being a Republican, and when I really would like to find, I've seen parts of it when he goes to get his casino license back, the one he lost because he had the Cal Neva Lodge that he co-owned with Sam Giancana. And he lost it because Giancana was on the black book. And when he was confronted, they talk about what is in here. You see like just a bunch of redacted language. What is that? Expletives. And like talking about the rant that Sinatra went on. Right. And then when Sinatra testified in the 80s and they talked about the infamous Premiere Theater picture with him, Paul Castellano, Carlo Gambino, Greg De Palma, Jimmy Fratiano. And they're like, yeah, Jimmy Frediano. Oh, I don't want to talk about that fucking weasel. You know, it's like, well, that was his nickname, but it was like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, oh,
Rat
they were just, I just got introduced to these guys, you know, because, you know, Sinatra was, he leaned on the
deep, dude, back to Hoboken, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was connected with Willie Moretti. Willie Moretti was, I think he was kind of independent but connected. Willie Moretti was the one who later on, when they killed him, they said it was a mercy killing because he had syphilis, but he went in front of the Keefauver hearings.
Mobsters getting all these STDs, man. What's up? What's going on in their communities, you know?
A lot of whoas. Exactly. But
right.
a lot of whoas. But
a lot of
speaking of whores, I think Frank Sinatra's son is also his grandson. Because he seems to be the father of Ronan Farrow and also seems to be the father of Mia Farrow.
They fucked Woody Allen.
Woody Allen's kid. Dude, that's Frankie Blue Eyes right there.
Yeah, of course.
He looks more like Frank Sinatra than Frank Sinatra Jr. looks like Frank Sinatra, dude. And I mean, there's a resemblance
That's
there.
Tommy
Gas.
Gas
Right there. That was daddy's Frank
I
Sinatra.
see Woody Allen in the corner in the cup chair.
Yeah, with Jeffrey Epstein and his little Chinese wife eating some jerky.
I will not hear anything bad said about the greatest guest star in Family Guy history, Francis Sinatra.
Jeffrey Epstein?
I will not have it. No, Frank Sinatra Jr.
Was he was a guest on Family Guy?
Oh, multiple times. I mean, I think Seth
I'm
MacFarlane
not
probably
enough
involved
with the
in
show.
some weird shit. Because Seth MacFarlane, one of his girlfriends was Amanda Bynes.
Really?
Are you fucking serious?
Wow.
I swear to God.
MacFarlane dated Amanda Bynes.
Amanda Bynes? Really?
Seth MacFarlane, who overslept his flight.
Mila Kunis, too. Mila Kunis, too.
Amanda Bynes, the likely one of the process church leaders. She was best friends with JJ Bryan. I'm JJ Vance, by the way. I've also never reported directly to the National Security Advisor like JJ Bryan did. Amanda Bynes' best friend. That's weird. I had no idea MacFarlane was connected to Amanda. There's such an age difference. That's a creepy age difference.
Think about the fact that Seth MacFarlane's third show, because his first show, I know he did another show before Family Guy, but American Dad, where the CIA, I mean, after a while, you kind of wonder, even though it's a joke.
That's a good point. And Mila Kunis she was younger than that 70s show when she was on there. Was that after that?
She was 14. She was 14 when she started that 70s show. So that 70s show, all right, let's give the benefit of the doubt of the pilot of that 70s show.
You do that, sir. I won't, but go ahead,
1997. But the show premiered in 1998. Still, way too young because they're like, oh, are you 18? And then later, like, she was kind of like, well, I'm going to be. You know, kind of like.
She's making out with serial killer Ashton Kutcher, dude. P. Diddy's friend.
Yeah. And then who's her second boyfriend?
The Butcher of Waco.
Danny Masterson. So, you know.
Speaking of all this violence, where are you going, Mr. President? Mr. President, get back here. You're not done with your speech. No, I do think it is very fascinating when you start looking into the deeper aspects of all these circumstances. There does seem to it's not disparate conspiracies. It's one fucking overarching Muppet act conspiracies. What do you think about that, Mr. President?
One big game of shit shows is what
I'm glad you said that. I got a lot of questions for you, sir. You got a lot of answers. I got a clip for that.
So there I am at Lorenzo's, loading up my slice at the Fixins bar, garlic and whatnot. And when I see this guy over at the pizza boxes giving me the stink eye, so I give him the crook eye back, you know. Then I notice that he's not alone. I'm taking on the entire Van Buren boys.
Van Buren boys?
Yeah.
There's a street gang named after President Martin Van Buren?
Oh, yeah, and they're just as mean as he was. So I make a move.
You got a lot of answers to be. You got answers to there, sir.
I've been picking random presidents' names and going on shows.
They're more violent than you are. That's what they're saying there.
I was between Ichabod Crane tonight and Martin Van Buren.
You're sticking in Deutschland. Now you're stuck in New Amsterdam.
Just a quick thing with the Aldo Moro thing. Aldo Moro died only a few months before John Paul I did. We're talking about.
I was gonna ask you, where's the intersection with that banking scandal situation?
I don't think it's probably that far off, truth be told.
Because as a deputy prime minister situation, he's up there, right?
No, there's a lot of connection to Giallo Andronetti. That's where the main focal point, I believe, who had connections to Licchio Gelli and also Michelle Sindona.
What's
funny about that? Okay, what's funny about that also is that the kidnapping of this other Italian politician, Creo, I can't pronounce his name, but I should probably learn how to pronounce his name. But later times,
call him Crayola crayons, dude. Let's come.
Yeah, Crayola crayons. There we go. But it's Craylo. Shit, I'm not going to pronounce it. I'm just going to abandon it. But no, the thing about it is that in later times, with the Red Brigades, when they were like dealing with them, they just gave the ransom money like that with this one politician, and it turns out that particular politician in 1982, which was kind of when the BR was Red Brigades are kind of at its downfall. And they just gave the money like that.
I don't know who the Red Brigades are. What would you tell me?
They're a Marxist-Leninist extremist group in Italy during the years of lead.
So these were opposite of the Coyotes or the Gray Wolves or whatever?
Yeah, pretty much, yes. They were on the opposite team.
They were the feuding battles, basically, the Red Brigades and the Gray Wolves?
Well, some of them. No, there's no intersection between the Red Brigades and the Gray Wolves.
Fighting the Gray Wolves?
No.
Who's fighting the Gray Wolves? Is it Gray Wolf on Gray Wolf action? Is that what we're talking about here?
The Gray Wolves are probably colluding with the CIA.
Neeson.
They're probably
CIA, are they not?
CIA.
They're all Nazi NATO CIA operations, right?
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I remember they mentioned the Gray Wolves in regards to what was it, Agca, the one who shot John Paul II, I think, wasn't there? Like,
Licchio Gelli was in bed with the Gray Wolves, and homeboy that got lynched was taking their money.
Yep.
It reminded me of Doc Brown taking the money and Back to the Future.
I meant to mention this also, JJ. I meant to mention this also, like on the Godfather 3. On the Godfather 3 is that yeah. Well, the P2 Lodge actually owned a newspaper, a very popular newspaper in Italy at the time. They had bought that newspaper. They were pretty much running propaganda for Licchio Gelli and Gelli. And the rest of the P2 Lodge.
Did they co-opt this paper, or was it or did they start the paper? All right.
No, they co-opted it.
Okay.
Was it Progresso, or was it another?
No, it was. It starts with a C. I'm kind of tired. It was like the most popular paper in Italy at the time.
Was it the Gray Wolves, dude?
No, it wasn't the Gray Wolf Press. But it was a very popular paper.
Doc, they were violent fuckers, dude. They were violent fuckers.
Oh yeah.
Is there any connection to the weapons?
No, but apparently they were opponents of the Raiders organization. But who's not, dude? The Raiders suck.
Oh, it was the Corriere della Sera. That was the name of the Corriere della Sera. That was the name of the paper. That's Corriere della DLLA, like Sarah. SERA. Yeah, like Michael.
Corolla
de la Sera. That was the name of the most popular paper, and it was bought by
big time
Lodge. Yeah,
big time.
And P2. The whole thing is the connection with the United States, the neocons. Right? Early variant. That's how you had guys. I mean, I'll always think of when they found a list of membership. Michael Laden, who was in the Reagan. I think he was in the State Department, and he was actually one of the early guys mentioned in regards to Iran-Contra. I think actually he just asked.
Licchio Gelli was very enthusiastic about Reagan.
Oh yeah,
Michelle Sindona was very enthusiastic about Richard Nixon. So they did have deep ties to the Washington, D.C., and they went to a lot of their galas, a lot of their private meetings as well. Licchio Gelli also weaseled his way and wormed his way with Juan Perón as well. And then his P2 Lodge,
they tried to steal. Enterprise? Is that what we're talking? With Juan
Perón?
Operation Condor.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, there was a book I had read. It was actually 2020. And it was by a Greek gentleman, and it had a water. It was basically saying there was a Greek connection to Watergate.
Oh,
And
that's what I was that's what I was getting at earlier. Are you my brain hole, sir? That Gustav fellow was apparently connected to that situation.
Oh, Gustav Ricardos, or
yeah. Apparently, he had some Muppet hands in the mix there.
Well,
I don't have a very rudimentary understanding, but I like where you're going. Where were you going with that? I apologize, I interrupted you. But
well, no. It's all good. It was someone who was like I think it was like that the Nixon administration had taken money from it might have been the junta, like one of the governments that took over. But again, 50 plus years on, no one can truly pinpoint the mainstream narrative of Watergate to me is dead. Like it doesn't hold water that it was just they broke into the DNC to get opposition information. They went to, I think, collect information not on what the Dems had, but I think the prostitution ring, the Columbia.
I was going to say that black book, right? Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with you on that one, sir.
The tap on Spencer Oliver's phone, Ida Wells. The fact
and
that
the Vatican owns the building, right? The Godfather 3 storyline of that Mobiliari Real Estates or whatever that Michael Corleone buys, that's actually Charles Bluehorn, Cocaine Bob's boss, and that's the owner of that building.
Yeah,
what did he call him? What did Nixon call
a damn fool, boy? I call him a damn fool.
No, what did he call him? He called him something. It was something about the
Bohemian Grove.
Bohemian Grove, yeah. He called it some
faggot. Yeah, he was like the faggot shit you've ever seen. Something along those lines. Then again, I don't always love what he said about
Nixon was like, "Here, give me that microphone and repeat that for you, boys."
Actually, it is May 2nd, which I believe is the anniversary of J. Edgar Hoover's death, and what Nixon said on hearing about Hoover's death. Oh my God, the old cocksucker's finally dead. Like, even though we're friends.
And then he starts talking about JFK shit too, right? What does he say about JFK?
Well, the Bay of Pigs, which Bob Haldeman said he believed was code for the Kennedy. Well, it all revolved around Howard Hunt.
He threatened Dick Helms, right? He told Dick, "I know what you boys did to Jack," or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you boys did with the whole Dallas thing, right?
When he sent Ehrlichman, John Ehrlichman, his domestic advisor, to kind of ask the CIA to tell the FBI to back off, Helms blew a gasket. He's like, Bay of Pigs has nothing to do with this. And he got all like self-righteous, even though like Richard Helms was a criminal. He was a scumbag. The worst thing they got him on was perjury. And meanwhile, it should have been so much worse. That's why when Nixon fired him, it wasn't really a firing because he gave him the ambassadorship to Iran. It was kind of like, all right, we're going to have a conversation. Yeah, it was a lateral move. I mean, all you have to do is watch the movie Nixon in a scene that got removed, which is him and Anthony Hopkins and Sam Waterston. Sam Waterston plays Dick Helms. And at one point they show Helms and his eyes go black, kind of showing like Dick Helms was kind of like pure evil. And they talk about
the devil.
Yeah, well, because
he goes off on the J. He goes off on the J's too, right?
Well, don't be going off on no J's here.
Hard J's.
Hard J.
Yeah, you're dropping hard J's there.
Very hard J's, apparently here.
And JJ's apparently every now and then.
My double J's stand for double dose of jackassery, though, sir. That's what I promise, folks. If I may, real quick regarding those on intelligence invasion of a Greek variety, Victoria Gooch, aka the Gooch, the lady that concocts most, if not all, of the Idaho 4 narrative against Brian Kohberger, works of
solving cold cases.
Well, dude, that's what she does on her free time. She does murder. She wrote murder mystery courses at high schools and colleges. She also teaches crime scene construction and investigations by setting up crime scenes. I argue most of what we've seen publicly from photographs, videos, and
plays with Legos and connected.
You may as well play the crayons, but they're all the machinations of the Gooch. Her father was Gooch is her married name. Her husband's a pioneering Mormon family from the UK into the nation of Deseret. These fuckers hate America, is what I'm saying.
Oh, really? Deseret?
Yeah, that's the nation of Deseret. The Gooches didn't come to America, dude. They came to the nation of Deseret.
Manson murders, right? They tie with the
her dad. So her dad was the underling to Lieutenant Colonel Paul Tate. Her father went undercover with Colonel Paul Tate, investigating Sharon Tate's murder, and went to the hippie.
Now that's
scene.
some crazy shit right there, dude.
She admits to all of this in this interview, dude. When some folk of the interweb sent me this, I don't know, back in fall of 2023, I think, whenever this came out, dude, I literally fucking blew up my brain hole, dude, because I was like, what the fuck is this lady talking about? She's admitting all of these things. But yeah, her father got, as her words, not mine, got reassigned from U.S. Army intelligence. He's a Greek Army intelligence officer that got under the protege of Paul Tate and came to America to serve in the U.S. Army after all that Greek flap there in the late, I think it was late or mid 50s, I believe. The Greek Revolution. Don't quote me on that because I'm not up to speed on the Greek revolutions. But she says that her father got reassigned as a county commissioner in Boise, Idaho. Fuck is the U.S. Army intelligence assigning officers as county commissioners? I thought that was an electoral process involved in that, where you vote for a Muppet, vote for your favorite Muppet. Says that in that interview right there. It's fucking wild. I can't believe I got copies of it because I can't believe
your own banana republic.
Dude, we're basically living in a fucking Muppet republic. Sure.
We're in a bananas war, people. Bananas war.
we're our Muppet republic's so bad we're out of bananas. All right. You know what I mean?
What matter?
Doc, I didn't realize this went into Argentina. The P2 scandal went all the way into I'm not shocked, but you got any more details? You sent me this link here. Did you got any more details?
Yeah,
on this?
basically what happened
Big
was
one, dude.
that,
Their name was President Reynaldo Big One.
Big one, big known.
Big known.
Oh, my bad. Big known.
No, what happened? So what happened there, JJ, is that Licio Gelli decided to become the financial advisor to Juan Perón. The P2 Lodge had another Masonic lodge in Argentina, and then he got really cozy with the Argentinian prime minister at the time, who was kind of a soft fascist. If I had to describe,
I would say so, dude. They're out there threatening journalists like that, and like Jeffrey Epstein.
No, Bavarian. No, he's not Bavarian.
Because you know they like their Deutsch down there in Argentina.
They do. They love it. Yeah, they love their Deutsch down there. That's where a lot of, I think, former Nazis went and hibernated.
Oh yeah,
before they went to Antarctica.
Dude.
That's where they camped out down there. To get to they're
trying to find Agartha down there. They're trying to get to Miguel Serrano and go to Agartha down there.
I wouldn't doubt it, dude. I really wouldn't. I really would not doubt it.
So what happened was
hell bent on some occult shit, dude. Whatever the fundamental principles behind the Nazi actions, it's some deeply ancient occult shit.
So this is kind of where the occult element gets in with Licio Gelli. For all the accounts you have of the P2 Lodge, they'll never ever point out any kind of occultism, which I don't know how much was really there in the P2 Lodge. But it seems that they had. I don't know. I haven't seen any solid evidence of it. Not to discount it.
I don't know that I have either, but it's a good question to ask them. Right?
But no, this is tying into that though. Juan Perón. So they were obsessed after Juan Perón died with his hand. They believed his hand had ultimate power, so they could rule over the world, and they think it was tied to that. So they robbed his grave and chopped off his hand.
System, right?
Yes, definitely. So they chopped off his hands.
Lop that some.
And people believe Licio Gelli was or Gelli was
he lopped that other one off there too, boy. He lopped both them hands off.
Yeah.
What was he stealing?
They're still hands.
I think it's they're probably using it in some sort of ritualistic purpose, right? I mean,
they were doing it for a ritual. Yes, they believed his hand had like a holy relic, like in during the medieval ages,
skull or something else. Like Geronimo's skull was stolen by George Bush's daddy's daddy.
Yeah, it goes back to like the saint relics. It goes back to like the saint relics that the Catholic Church used to.
It goes back to also the Magna Carta, where much of my forefathers lopped off the head of King John of Lackland.
What was it? What was the name of that one?
For ritualistic purposes.
What was the name of that one Catholic? Martyr that was mentioned in Godfather 3. It's really important, I think, to.
Shit! We were just talking about that. Actually, I think Jonah brought that up in that conversation.
Yeah. Well,
you have
they believe
John the Baptist too.
They believe that his skull and his hand could prevent plagues and also prevent the end of the world. That was tied to that, so there might be a connection there.
Didn't they kind of do that with John the Baptist, right?
Yeah, John the Baptist was commiserated in Gnostic lore. Yep. So yeah, they did believe John the Baptist was bestowed with like certain
What are your thoughts on this one? Our channel's really up to no good, but what are your thoughts on this one?
What's that?
There's evidence that the P2 Lodge is a psyop.
Well, if there was no evidence, then why did Carmen Percarelli? Why did he get murdered? And by Giulio Andronetti. Why did he get murdered?
Why would they hang the banker?
They proved in an Italian court that Carmelo Percanelli actually did murder him, and he used the mob to do so. So that's absolute nonsense.
The banker got it. The banker got
any kind of like machinations. What a bunch of horseshit to say that
my damn bulldog. I'm at to pull him off.
There was no record of the banker leaving Italy and then nor him entering the customs.
This guy's a fascist CIA apologist.
That's
this guy's like
our channel. No, dude, you're not familiar with our
now
channel?
Watch this drive.
He's my favorite CIA AI about Bill Colby Ballwalker.
Why are you just sweeping? Why are you sweeping for Licchio Jelly?
Go fuck yourself, RR.
I'm saying, why are you sweeping for Licchio Jelly? I mean, what?
Well, he's programmed to do that, dude. He's a CIA AI bot, Bill Colby Ballwasher. There's a number of leading theories of who the identity of RR is. Recently, he's decided to claim he was the creepy dentist from Utah Valley University.
What if he's
my leading theory, sir, is he's Elbridge Colby, right? Bill Colby's grandson. Who else would love? Who else is going to love Bill Colby as much as this Muppet?
I mean, you think Angleton really liked Colby? You think Angleton liked Colby?
Elbridge Colby, sir, is our deputy director of war.
I thought Angleton was actually the coolest CIA guy. If I had to pick one,
Bill Colby, dude.
Angleton.
Yeah, Bill
Angleton was smart. I don't like Angleton as a person, but I think he was very smart and strategic.
He was an interesting guy. I mean, there was a book that was written after. So Angleton gets fired. What was it? December '74 because of the abuses that Seymour Hersh exposed, which was Chaos, which was the mail opening and things
Chaos,
like that. Yeah. And there was a book written a few years later, and it was called.
Although Tim O'Neill is very sus, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Nah, he's a truth teller. Damn it.
A truth teller.
He eats it for breakfast and shits it out for dinner. He's a truth teller.
Orchids for Mother, because they said Angleton's nickname was Mother, and it speculates of like a revenge plot where Angleton basically kills Colby. That's the aspect of it. Meanwhile, like Angleton became the source for people like Joseph Trento, who would write a few books that were CIA exposés.
And Casolaro.
I didn't know you knew so much about Angleton, Phil. Wow.
I liked Cold Warrior. What was it? Tom Mangold.
Did you know that he wrote a poem about the Cathars?
No,
he was obsessed with the Cathars. Yeah, when he was in Yale University, he was really obsessed with the Cathars. He wrote an entire poem about.
He was big into poetry. I mean, he was friends with.
Isn't that weird? That all of our spook and unintelligence operations in this country
they all come from art school.
Formed by
all come from art school. Yeah.
Yeah. Art kids, right? Literary kids.
Yeah, art kids. We're basically run by art theater kids.
Basically, yeah, it is the theater regime, isn't it?
Well, I mean,
we're run by theater kids.
The best Angleton quote, I think, Trento's, I think it was like Secret History of the CIA, and I think David Talbot mentions it in The Devil's Chessboard.
Oh, The Devil's Chessboard, absolutely good book.
Whereas Angleton says something like along the lines of people like Dulles and Helms and Carmelopi is like, you knew when you were in a room with these guys, you were going to wind up, they were going to wind up in hell, and I hope to see them one day. Like they all knew, despite what they were doing. I mean, then you look at someone like what was it, George Hunter White, who was with the OSS and later on was Federal Bureau of Narcotics, and saying like, where else can we rape and rob and steal at the behest of the Almighty, and like saying like their mission was like sanctioned by God. Meanwhile, like a guy like George Hunter White doped his own wife with LSD and watched other men have their way with her while he walked behind the mirror. Oh yeah, we're waiting with that the hearings on MK Ultra that are set to come up in 2 weeks. I'm waiting to see how much of a limited.
No kidding.
Yep.
No kidding.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves, Doc. It's from my Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who I'm pretty sure I saw her glittered up butthole at a strip club in Fort Walton Beach. Dancing on circa July 2014.
Oh man!
I'm just saying, let's not. I'm not taking alien secrets from some glittered up butthole I saw shaking on a pole.
So it's going to be a Project Bluebeam, huh?
Project Glittered Butthole, dude, is what it's going to be.
Yeah, Glittered Butthole. Yeah.
Well, we were supposed to have the alien invasion on Easter, right? According to
it happened.
What was it? Bledsoe said so, or whatever.
He was invisible. He was invisible.
I actually never heard of the Bledsoes until Doc had introduced me to these narratives, and I found it to be almost on the level of David Wilcox funny. I'm no familiar with David Wilcox. Are you familiar with the preposterous tales of the Lady in White and the Bledsoes?
No, actually,
the Fort Bragg gang.
Go ahead.
Oh, I know you are, Doc. You're the one introducing to me. I was asking Phil.
With him. I've heard of Bledsoe before, but it's funny. Like I was saying a couple nights ago, I'm like, oh, we're not here for the David Wilcox Memorial. Meanwhile, his old buddy / bully Corey Good is trying to get rat out everybody who's ever been skeptical of Wilcox for bullying David Wilcox to death, and it's like, God, Corey Good's a piece of shit. I mean, he is definitely. I mean, I'm not saying a guy like him is intelligence, but. I mean,
somebody might be running them for sure, right? With the shit he gets away with, dude. I've obviously seen following that Hidden in Plain Sight show. I think you and I have discussed.
Love those guys.
Those guys are fantastic, dude. They're taking a lot of heat right now for the Wilcox situation, even though that's kind of preposterous in many respects. But Corey Good, obviously being one directing kind of the hatred their way, if I'm not mistaken. But it seems like as much stuff as that dude gets away with, because they've read his court filings and that shit. I'm like, ain't no way no judge is not sanctioning somebody for the shit he pulls in court, dude. I've been in every respect of the court processes, and there ain't no way someone, the shit he's pulled in court, dude, and his attorneys are pulled in court, dude. I'm like, what the fuck?
His attorney is a fucktard. I mean, the one they mentioned who said
you have the right to the most expensive lawyer you can buy, boys, and that's all.
She makes the true psychosis of when people like Lynn Wood and Sidney Powell went off the deep end. This woman, I think it's I forget her name. I think it's something.
I forget her name. She's dumb as a box of rocks.
Yeah, dumb as shit. I mean, not good.
The shit they get away with without sanctions. I've seen people sanctioned for far less, dude.
It's all good, man, but a woman. But yeah, no, she's, not good at all. And, this is a guy who literally under deposition said, the 20 and back and all that stuff was a lie, but he was like IP. He always holds to
those depositions, though. Those are some of the best. That's some good comedy. Right
my God, it is so funny to listen to because it's like that's a man who's bad shit, and yet
you can see him you can almost see him sweating bullets, dude, not wanting to answer it. But yeah, dude. Yeah. And again, it's the roast of those depositions. That's my reality TV. What do you got?
Oh my God, you need. If you had a great reason to bring back a Better Call Saul, where there's a trial no one ever saw, him representing a guy like James Corey Good. A guy who's just stuck the shit back.
Yeah, so his narrative he came on the scene after David Wilcox was well established New York Times bestseller. That's what I'm saying. He could very well. He's Looney Tunes. I think he was in a lot of his views. He bathed in shit and talked to demons, but you'll have you don't talk.
What
to
the
demons,
hell?
bro.
Oh yeah,
he admitted to bathing and shit. He claimed to have been transformed into a saint. Get this, doc, you're not going to believe this shit. He claimed to have been transmuted into a sandwich, raped and eaten by an alien, and then
banana sandwich. Banana sandwich.
That's right.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Got a peanut butter and banana sandwich.
Oh my God! And there's a clip where he says he's like, "What's up?"
I said, "What was his brother's name in Better Call Saul?" Jimmy's brother.
Oh, Chuck.
Yeah.
I mean, with David Wilcock, like there's this like when you imagine yourself as a banana sandwich, and he's like, can you remember that? It's time to take some time off. And meanwhile, I was like, this already. He's communicating with the squirrels. He's wearing a burlap.
He's the reincarnation of the Archangel Michael. He's the reincarnation of Edgar Casey. Well, meanwhile, the one thing I will give credence to, the fact that the guy who co-wrote that book with him died a few days before, that is weird. I saw that, and I wasn't able to find any further details on the specifics on that. But I agree, that is creepy.
Well, Jay Widener, the other guy who was with him in Gaia, said that's probably what pushed him over the edge. When he saw that was kind of like that was his cue to take. He
discovered that on a live stream.
Yeah, that's what Jay Widener said. Is that he discovered it on a live stream, and Jay Widener had issues with Wilcock.
I don't watch TV. I never really got into many programs, but Seinfeld's. It's Always Sunny. There's a few and far between, but. I love watching David Wilcock, dude. I have for years long before that's how I found it Hidden in Plain Sight, fellas, because I was such a big fan of just laughing at David Wilcock's nonsense.
Oh God,
he had some great stories, dude. He really did. But not that I ever believed him. They were just that was my reality TV,
It's funny enough because it's like I only found those guys through Macroaggressions, Charlie Robinson's show.
Okay.
With the whole space weirdos, it's like, like a guy like David Wilcock, because again, he'd been around since like 2009 or whatnot, give or take.
Oh, before that, around that time for sure. Like he was hit. That was when he was hitting his stride, I think, around that time. Yeah.
Yeah, and people want to listen to certain things, and certain things like, oh wow, this kind of hits, and then he meets up with a guy like Corey Good, and he starts, kind of selling him a bill of goods, and then they get with the whole. The Q stuff, and again, I never got
big into that, didn't he, dude? He started mixing the Corey Good Blue Avians with fighting the Cabal and the Q war, dude.
I was pretty big into it.
I didn't get into QAnon. I mean, never got into it, but I said in terms of the first time I heard of Q,
I dabbled. I dabbled from time to time.
You're a dabbler.
The first time I heard of it was after that the guy from the Gambino family got killed.
I was about to say QAnon killed the mob boss, dude. Radio killed the radio store.
Yeah, that was the first time I heard of it, and I was like, okay, what the hell is this? And then when they talk about when Wilcock and Corey Good went downhill, it was through Q and then Carrie Cassidy, and Carrie Cassidy's batshit.
She's been on the Rockefeller payroll since day one, if you ask me.
Well, listening to the whole thing with her, the Mark Richards.
Shout out Stephen Greer.
The secret space program and the super soldier who got convicted of murder. And,
she served as the clearinghouse for all these fucking Looney Tunes. Do you remember this one Looney Tune named, because I don't even remember, this is the first time I ever heard about Michael Aquino, and it was probably around 2009 or 2010. It was from a Looney Tune, maybe 2011 or so, at the latest. I'm trying to think of the fella's name. He claimed he used to work for Aquino on the Presidio, but he was used Douglas something. It'll come back to me. He came out through Project Camelot, though. He was used as the clearinghouse to vet this guy, right? And he's a total Looney Tune. I mean, most shit he says is just out. So he didn't say he got transmuted into a banana sandwich, but you can tell that's what he's really telling you.
Well, not everybody gets that. Not everybody gets that opportunity, JJ. But
Douglas Dietrich.
Oh, that's a good name. That's a good name.
It's a solid name.
Straight out of Fort Dietrich.
Double D. Yeah, that's straight out of the Presidio, according to this fellow.
When you listen to a Carrie Cassidy or
Presidio,
who's a couple of the other ones, Duncan. There's a Duncan guy, Duncan O'Finian, and you hear like some of these like people's talking, and it's like 3/4 of them are like they're heavily medicated. And again, nothing wrong with that, but I said sometimes you're like, okay, are you heavily medicated because of what you went through, or you're spewing a story because you're heavily medicated? And
speaking of heavily medicated, I think Corey Good was heavily medicated flipping burgers in the back of a Utah burger shack somewhere around 8,500 feet elevation. That's not even real elevation there, because he was so high on something, dude. Where did he come up with this shit? He came out of nowhere, somehow got linked up with Wilcock. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there was some third parties involved in the machinations there, perhaps some introductions, maybe. I've witnessed enough of these little introductions. I kind of understand how they go. There's somebody involved there with behind the scenes, because he starts pushing this whole thing where he was the Blue Avians, where he got age regressed and shipped to Mars, dude, or some shit like that, right?
Yeah, the 20 and back, and all you need
Speaking
is
of 20 and back. This man needs 40 and back. Welcome to the show, there, Beef Supreme.
What's happening, my friends? How we doing?
What's going on?
We're talking about Blue Avian Aliens, sir. Welcome to Operation GCD. Their big MKane Ultra.
Yeah, I've been going banana sandwich to try and get up here.
Big Tom Cruise.
Yeah, what do you think you are out here running some MKane Ultra experiments on us?
You guys are gonna have to dumb the conversation down a little bit for me.
We're talking about blue avians, dude. How dumber can you get, bud?
I don't know.
Are you telling me, sir, that you're a believer in the giant blue chicken alien theory?
Give me some galaxy gas.
I thought Project Blue Bean was where it ended.
Yeah, this is Project Blue Bird, is what we're talking about.
Is he a Muppet? That's one of the.
I think we actually. I mean, if you really think about it, I think we are getting Project Blue Beams right now. It is this seemingly
in IRL.
You know,
11 scientists are gone. They're gone.
Oh well, David Wilcock's been counted as number 12, dude. That's
he's been lumped in.
I think he's just at a spa bathing in his own poop.
He might be, dude. Maybe Zenu wanted him back, dude. I don't know.
Let me message
Zeno was sending those special
number 13.
Zeno was sending those special gerbils out for him.
Well, I think Zenu runs the UN, and we all work for the UN. I think that's how that works out on the back.
He's sending them gerbils out for him.
Well, now you have the fact that there's been a lot of earthquake activity in and around, like they said, Area 51. That there's been like a bunch of like 4 and 5.0 earthquakes, and now, of course, they're like, oh, because of the revelations that there's a connection. It's like, no, it's Nevada. It's adjacent with California. There is a lot of tectonic activity, and Yellowstone's not that far away. But I said, go with whatever works.
Bill, I mean, they could be blown up at Epstein's underground bases. Now, I'm just throwing it out.
Don't say,
over there on
real
Zorro
fast.
Ranch, blowing up Zorro Ranch.
I am not going to insult the dumbs. I'm not going to insult the deep underground military bases. Always a possibility.
The dumbs.
But it could be banana sandwich. We don't know. We don't know.
I got a question for you, sir. What's your position on Christopher Dorner?
Upside down, left, right. I don't know. Who's Christopher Dorner?
I don't feel like you're on the spot. I've asked everybody the same question. So. You passed.
No, I feel like just like you guys do.
He's a hero. How about that?
He might be a grinder.
Probably on Grinder.
What's your hoagie situation like there, Kane? Where you at hoagie wise these days?
Well, I started with these guys tonight. We got the 7-Eleven chocolate donuts coming down. They're invisible because they're chocolate.
Are you familiar with the Princeton, New Jersey staple since 1976, the Hoagie Haven? This is not a sponsored advertisement, but the Hoagie Haven, dude. It's we serve the best hoagies on Earth or any place else. Oh shit, alien stuff, dude.
Let's turn into a commercial.
Alien Hoagie Shack, dude.
Sponsors Operation JCD.
I invented that shit like 15, 20 years ago.
Dude, you invented what, dude? You sound like
None
Kramer.
Is real. That's not authentic alien food. The blotch I've had on Schmeg.
When Kramer comes into Jerry's apartment and says, "Oh, he's like, look, they're renovating the Chrysler building. That was my recommendation." Like, yeah, you don't own the building, Kramer.
I'm more a fan of the AT&T building. I don't like windows,
Oh, is that a spook reference, dude? Are you our channel, dude? Are you our channeling me, dude? What's going on?
Our channel's a Muppet.
That's for damn sure.
I know it's you, though. We all know it's you.
I'm almost convinced it's Bill Colby's grandson, Elbridge Colby, our deputy director of war.
I suspected that, Kane. I
smelt it.
Whoever smells
like a Muppet.
It's got
yeah, we had a big blow today. In the, where's
when you get me and Kane in a room, dude, we're gonna talk about food. That's for damn sure, boy.
Where's Jonah tonight? Out making trouble, or you got no no Eastwood, no Jonah. Can you guys hear me okay, Myra?
Oh no, they're gonna be on next Fridays. They're on next Fridays.
Yeah, Jonah threw in a couple times. I saw him in the chat.
He's been jobbing it pretty heavy though. So I got him booked for next Fridays. I want to, Didn't want to overwork the man, but yeah, he was in the chat earlier for sure. Clint's probably streaming right now. I don't know.
Yeah, we were
Clint's
at
dedicated, dude. I told Clint I said, yeah, watch out, dude. You remind me of the guy that got murked by Nicholas Tartaglione, Jeffrey Epstein's celly, dude. You know, because that dude's always on every night just spitting some details and facts, and that's what that dude was doing on public access, dude. He pissed off the local fucking, the local fiefdom, the mob fiefdom around there, and they sent the mob and
five
mob
families
in
right here in Safety Harbor. I don't know if you've ever been interrupted before, but
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right
sir.
here in Safety Harbor, they
name.
built this compound of 5 McMansions right all together, and it turned out it was Corleone's.
That's fucking interesting, man. That's fucking interesting.
Oh, I'm sorry. You were saying the Corleones? Is that a sandwich? That's an Italian hoagie, dude. Is that you eat that cold or hot?
It's more like when you start smoking it as opposed to snorting it. It's like infinity.
Dude, who snorts a hoagie? Get serious, bud.
But yeah, no, we did the Reading Canebo episode last night.
I listened to some
live,
of that, yeah.
And we had the full on. I broke up with the entire audience at the end of it.
I'm not shocked by
where
any
the
of that.
sidewalk ends. But yeah, no, our guy.
You rage quit at least 3 times a show, dude.
No, it was a tearful goodbye. Lucy,
How did
hung
you
up
get
her
access to Cyray's book? Was that Cyray's book? The one of the experts in the case?
Twisted Sticks had a leaked copy of it he got from his med tech or something like that.
Because I saw he posted he's selling them for $95 a copy.
Yeah, you don't need to buy it. It was
Phil just lit up, dude. He's
think
like,
of
what the Muppet, dude? That's pretty high price for a book, right? That's
holy shit.
Well, I mean, it's basically a textbook for law enforcement as far as his little strategies and stuff and following procedure and not basically the whole point of it academic wise was to not let your emotions get the better of you.
There's one for Doc right there. Cyray giving acceleration vibes.
Acceleration, yep, vibration, cancellation, all that stuff.
What did you Kane, did you see Waitcom's coming out with a new documentary?
He's doing a documentary now. He's been making the rounds on the
Yeah, it's called Whitcomb Does Dallas. He's remaking the Debbie Does Dallas thing. If you're into that, you might be.
Is that going to be mob finance too, like the original?
Yeah. Might as well be.
If it's not, about
it is the FBI, dude. Cash App PayPal, get his Mormon marketing multi-level marketing scam boyfriend to pay for it.
Yeah, the Columbos had Deep Throat and
oh no, sir. Welcome to the show, there, sir. No, we definitely covered. Yeah, we get. That's a fundamental aspect of understanding David Wilcock, because you have to understand this. You got to understand, have some humanity. This man was turned into a fucking sandwich, raped, and then transmuted back into a human. I mean, that's got to be a rough process.
Man. Damn, it's rough.
That's what almost happened to you, right? With the Hardee's situation.
The Hardee's situation? Do tell, sir. I had some Carl's Jr. earlier. What happened?
At least it's not an Arby's situation.
I'll have a number 3, a double J with fries and a large Coke, please. $5.95. Yeah. So yeah, Cyray's our guy on the as far as he started that Nexus Lexus. Anybody familiar with Nexus Lexus? It's one of these government background checkers.
You could pull I think like legal cases, and to be honest, with insurance, I used to be able to pull off like motor vehicle records.
It's a large private attorney database of
right.
Any attorneys have access, can go in there and write notes about other people, and it's a weird. It becomes a weird intelligence operation at some juncture.
That's what it seemed like to me. I wanted to bring that by you, but
you got. I assure you, Beef Supreme, you got a file in there, bud. I don't have access to LexisNexis now, but I assure you, if I did, I'd look you up, Beef Supreme. You got a file like an inch thick, buddy.
I think they've probably thrown it away by now. They're going to just put it.
No, it's essentially a civilian intelligence operation or unintelligent operation. Because they do, it's all collecting files on people, dude, and anyone who has access can log into it.
I mean, oh shit, they're going to integrate it into Palantir soon.
Yeah, Palantir or Open A. What is it?
You know,
Sam
I
Altman
wanted to
thing,
say,
right?
Open AI.
Yep.
I wanted to say something. You guys mentioned Mila Kunis, but what people don't know is that she invested into Clearview AI, which is a kind of side project, facial recognition software that they use at Walmart, the cops, Madison Square Garden uses it. Yeah, they use it everywhere. And she actually is on
Kroger.
Yeah, Kroger uses it. Clearview AI.
Kroger's a big one, yeah.
Clearview AI is the name of it. And Mila Kunis,
They're gonna burn it.
Mila Kunis' name is on one of the investors, according to like
She's KGB, isn't she? She's Russian.
She's
You
Ukrainian.
can't even spell KGB, bro.
She's Ukrainian.
I had a Ukrainian chick in the car.
Potato.
They don't like they don't like each other. Don't call Ukrainian or Russian. They don't like
I had to. Well, they speak Russian. Most of them. Most of them speak Russian.
Well, yeah, there's no such thing as a place called Ukraine, but you know,
I had to pay $5,000 to get her in the car. You know,
that's a hate crime, dude.
Don't
That's
talk
United
about
Nations hate
Khazaria
crime
like
you
that,
committed, dude.
Doc.
Oh, Khazaria. Yes, that's right.
Don't talk about Khazaria.
Anyway,
Don't talk about
the
that.
Siren guy kind of
Again.
shut us down, Jade. You know what I'm saying?
You're gonna get me canceled again. God damn it!
He was paid off. I really do. You have any takes on that?
I'll take 2 beef supreme tacos.
Number 5, JJ
no lettuce,
fries
with some hot sauce on the side.
I'll take a Crunch Wrap Supreme.
Yeah, he basically was a defense expert witness for timing data. What the guy was in the Idaho case there, and he kind of came out and said that the defendant was in another town at the time of the crime, and in his book yesterday he declared that the guy was innocent, or the guy that was guilty, that he was just very tricky at it. And then,
are you serious? I heard you get into that conclusion. I didn't get through your long-winded 8-hour performance, but
I put a link where start reading if you want to check it out later.
Well, let's listen to it and fast forward, if you will. But that is what he said, dude. Ray says that Kohberger did it, huh?
I can give you the exact quote, but yeah, it's more or less along those lines. That he.
And your opinion on that is
very well.
Your opinion that is.
I think that he's paid off, he got bought off. Because I mean, why the fuck? He literally.
Well, what's his basis of that theory, dude? That's preposterous.
He completely mupped it out, man. I don't get it.
That's his conclusion. He went full blown Muppet, dude. You never go full blown Muppet.
Dude, he's a dude playing another dude. Right?
This is a dude playing a dude.
Wait, was he saying like from one point he didn't? You know, he was saying he didn't do it, and then at the end he said he did.
Well, the hearing that he actually testified in was a couple of years back, and he's had a gag order on him since then. Apparently, that's been lifted, and he was able to discuss it in a book.
I think Lucy Morningstar's instituted a gag order on you, sir. She says you have difficulty. I don't know if she's saying you have difficulty comprehension and comprehend. I have difficulty reading, dude. I need to visit my local science store. Please forgive me. I do apologize.
That's amazing. I didn't know that about you.
What do you know?
That you're a musician. But that's why I'm interviewing you today, so I can get to know you.
So I'm a musician.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck that mean? Make magic or something? What is musician?
I think you're confusing that.
Yeah, I'm not no musician. I make music. I make music. And that's not all I do. I make music, I act. I'm a TV star too, a young mogul.
Just really quick, I think you're confusing.
I'm not confusing nothing because you don't know. You thought that all I was a magician or whatever the fuck you said.
See, that's what I think you think I said. No, I said musician, not magician.
I don't think, baby. I don't think. What is that? That's ghetto. I don't think. I know.
So you
think.
I didn't say magician, Suki. I said musician. And I think you are a musician.
No, baby. I do music.
So you just really quick. For the record, could you say you don't think you're a musician?
I'm not none of that.
Kay, are you a magician?
I'm a musician, sir. I go musician. I keep my position.
Caught you off guard on that one, didn't I? You got to stay on your feet. There.
And always going against the opposition. And that's not a superstition.
Precision.
I'm about to say, you're about to get Dawkins some freestyling.
I came too late for all the good times. I got a nice 300% tip towards the end of it.
Square, bud.
What do you think about these the Scientology speed runs? You guys talked about that tonight. The kids running through the Scientologists.
Dude, I'd like to see you and me go do a Scientology speed run. Make it about 5 feet in that door, get winded, and fall over.
They pay me enough, man. I'll run through their butt ass naked. I'll do it.
Bullshit, dude. I'm gonna call bullshit on that one.
I don't have another case to run.
No balls. No balls, Kane.
You know what's weird about a Scientology center is they tell people not to videotape even in their bathrooms. Like, but it feels like you have a camera on you in the bathroom.
Because they have the cameras already in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'll do the helicopter right in the middle of that damn thing.
Yeah.
I'm not at heart. I'm just a teenage
Scientology center in DC. Very creepy. The people are all happy, and I was like, why are these people just smiling? And they were just creepily smiling.
Well, when you don't have to work for a living, you can do those things.
Hey, boy, you boys want to work here for a nickel an hour? All right, you're hired.
Foolishly, I volunteered to get the e-meter machine tested on me. It depends
on how many gerbils you want shoved up your anus there, sir. That's a pretty requirement in most Scientology
so I don't think they're going to come after me. I used a fake name on their little card. Yeah, they wanted to test me.
I've never used my real name in their facilities, dude. I've never once given them my actual details.
When they put the e-meter on me, this woman asked me a bunch of questions and pinched me.
Kenny Powers.
Basically pinched me in the arm. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
They want a reaction
you were describing a Scientology murking of a Scientology varieties of a young couple in Los Angeles is connected to what, Paul Thomas Anderson and Tom Cruise?
Teresa Duncan and Jeremy Blake.
Yep. Why don't you hit me with some of those details, sir? I'd like to hear more about that.
Are they voters? They were voters or voters?
And also, is there a hoagie situation to that? An element to all this?
Probably.
A biscuit element?
Biscuit element.
Teresa Blake? Dude, you've told me these people's names so many fucking times, dude. I apologize.
Yeah. Teresa Duncan and
Jeremy Blake. Dude, I'm not even kidding. You've been telling me about these folks for years, literally years.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned so many times, I can never remember their name. I'm terrible.
You never remember their name. I mean, they're the best documented case, I believe, of where Scientology probably gang stalked them because they were.
Yeah, dude, and they had a very suspicious murking, didn't they?
Yeah, I told you that was a thing, JJ. Gang stalking, gang banging.
Yeah, Kane's familiar with Tom Cruise. He's often found in Tom Cruise's sex dungeon.
Well, I mean, you know who introduced Tom Cruise to Scientology, right? Some woman, some female actress.
Mimi Rogers.
Yeah, wasn't it his first wife,
Rogers,
right?
yeah. She had a movie called The Rapture, which was about the end of time and the rapture. And it's kind of a weird movie.
Yeah, David Duchovny was in that.
Yeah, David Duchovny.
JFK Jr.'s best friend, David Duchovny.
Yeah.
Trust the plane.
Strange movie.
Mike Flynn.
No, they are. They were best friends. It was David Duchovny, JFK Jr., and Scientology superstar before Tom Cruise, who's
Galifianakis was in there somewhere, I'm pretty sure.
No, that's not it. That's not it, King. It's not Schindler's List before you say
Galifianakis.
Jason Begay. There you go. Boom. Jason Begay.
He's got a role in about every movie.
Those three went to high school together in New York City, and apparently they were a trio.
I learned from you, JJ, that the fat kid off the Sandlot is a Scientologist. That really blew my mind.
Dude, he's a major recruiter for Scientology. The great Hambino.
No.
You know what? My friend's dad was the guy that originally had the beast.
That's fantastic.
He was in that movie. He did a number of.
Was he the dog?
Whatever. The dog. He was
the big dog?
Original owner of the beast, and he was in a bunch of car lot commercials before that. This was his biggest role. He played the Italian sausage guy who had the beast and sold it to.
True story.
You show the back of the guy that my naked with the You know, thing.
Kane, it says Kane, you're being accused of played a video on JLR trolling outside his local Tom Cruise temple.
He got indicted or something like that. He's
indicated. Huh? What did he get indicated for?
He's getting pulled down his pants.
Did he get indicated for the beatings? He's a fed op, dude. I don't care, dude. If you want to look at a fed op, look at that Muppet, dude. First of all, he's on federal disability. How in the fuck is he traveling all around America to covering Nancy Guthrie's missing fucking fake shit and all that shit? That just is pretty real fast. And then you got this JLR Muppet. He's filed 3,742 lawsuits somehow. He did about 9 years in prison for fraud and somehow travels around the U.S. despite being on federal disability. I'm like, how are you making a lot of money off your YouTube channels? That's odd. Got a man down. Where did he go? Oh, we got Beef Supreme down.
You got YouTube zapped.
He had to run to the border to the bathroom.
That's what I'm saying, dude. He had too many Beef Supremes, dude.
You got wiki cited.
Just like a regular Beef Supreme taco comes back to haunt you. Greetings, sir. Welcome back to Operation GCD.
I'm back an hour later. Yeah, looking at that book to give you an exact quote out of Saturday's thing. It was pretty. I had to read it twice before I even started to accept it.
Was that due to the lack of pictures?
It's pop-up book. And, that's what you need for instructional material for law enforcement.
I don't even know if I want to read it the way what I heard you talk. I listened to about an hour of your reading. It was a solid reading, so I do appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I trained with Geordi from Star Trek. And,
I was about to say, you can tell
you're
you're very well
skilled.
skilled.
The silver shades over my eyes. It works a lot better.
I was okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was more of a Mr. Rogers type situation, but I'll go with that.
I left him on the spacecraft, so that was what it was. But no, he said that law enforcement was basically getting ahead of itself, accepted a narrative from the beginning, established that, and just whatever they had come across from there on out, they made it fit or they ignored it. And then he's like, it was like he offered the solution as a choice between he could have either been this guy who shut up his phone or a guy who got lucky 10 times and avoided all the cameras on the way into Moscow. And so and then he's like, but he was very clever, whatever. It's like, yeah, this escapes me now. It was an 8-hour live, yeah. So
this sounds like organized Muppetry, dude. I fail to see how he comes to the conclusion that Koberger did it. What piece of evidence? What timeline? They failed to even establish the victims' timelines thus far publicly. These Muppets, in my opinion, can all go fuck themselves. We've seen the most ridiculous shit in the Idaho case, and it's set in the most ridiculous case law, which they're happy to cite, because Hitler cited fucking John Doe number 2 from the Oklahoma City bombing.
That's the thing, dude. How do you cite McVeigh? That wasn't even a trial. It was just 4 freaking
Not only was it not a trial, it's not within the district of the state which Idaho falls in that federal district, and it's a federal case, not a state case, dude. That's what I'm saying. It's setting such a ridiculous precedent.
You got Free and you got
listen here, Chet. You got a couple Muppets
shit.
Everywhere.
It's like I'm waiting for Mark Furman to take the reins on this one, man.
Why is it we have so many attorneys commenting in this case and not a damn one of them comment on the fundamental aspects of pure Muppetry?
Well, according to Wickham, the defense was hiding shit too.
I'm talking about all the people that give quote unquote analysis of this case, and they do so in having a professional understanding of the law, Sylvester Stallone style of the law. And Judge Dredd, but my point is that no one talks about this shit, dude. In what fucking world is any of this shit? Did they use a federal grand jury, shielded it from the fucking state court? The state prosecutor said, "Oh, we can't give you that defense and discovery of the evidence. You have a right to face your accuser and the evidence, dude." And they're like, "Well, we just can't be doing that. The feds got it. We can't give that to you. You had to go talk to the feds." Well, this ain't a federal court there, Chet. It's a fucking state court. And they're doing the same shit right now in Utah with Tyler Robinson. It's the exact same fucking protocols of violating the shit out of his rights.
Yes, Sergeant. It's become standard protocol for them to bury any kind of discovery that they don't want out.
Yeah, that's not my question to you. My question to you, I'm going to angrily ask again in a fake anger manner, like I'm actually perturbed. But why is it none of the attorneys that comment on this fucking case ever comment on shit like this, dude? Why is it some fucking beef supreme taco and a garbage can dude always having that conversation?
Because they're planning some big heist at the end of it. I don't know. I mean, why is Covert just laying down and accepting this? How
do you know that he is, dude? He's got no contact with the outside.
Why would he stay silent?
Chris Wood comes in there, Guantanamo Baying him, dude, as we speak to. We don't know that. That could happen, allegedly.
Yeah, no, some people think that he's not even in jail because they went to such lengths to show that he was in prison. What high-profile criminal have they ever showed inside the cell, fixing his shoes?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein.
The Jeffrey
maybe
Epstein.
That's set a precedent.
Tuner's Biscuit World's own Jeffrey Epstein.
It seems like somebody really went out of their way and put a lot on the line to be able to show that he was in a prison cell. But
well, we just seen the shooting at DC there. The guard was chatting it up with him as he was grabbing the rifle.
Did you see that clip?
I haven't seen that.
Well, before I find that clip, what's your thoughts on Christopher Dorner? What's your position on that?
Who's Christopher Dorner? Refresh my memory.
How dare you, dude? How dare you? Don't come with my shit not knowing who Christopher Dorner is.
I didn't know this was Christopher Dorner night. Right about
this is Christopher Dorner hour, dude. This is David Wilcock hour / Christopher Dorner hour.
Yes. It's David Wilcock.
Goddamn legend.
He's a goddamn
banana sandwich night.
A man of the people.
Yeah,
man of the people.
Christopher Dorner.
Oh, he was a San Diego County guy, huh?
Here's a toast to Christopher Dorner.
He's the Bushmaster XM15.
This one's for him.
And for Luigi.
Yeah, you don't remember that?
Pour one out.
Pour one out for the homie Luigi and Christopher Dorner.
He had a little cabin in the woods with a little bit of foo-foo.
He's just a man, a little cabin in the woods, and a vendetta against the upper echelon of the LAPD.
Didn't he have like a 15-year-old girlfriend or something like that too?
I don't know if that's accurate, sir. I feel like you're just spreading communist propaganda at this point.
That sounds like misinformation.
Yeah, I met him once.
All right, so MKane Ultra, if you may. Here's the alleged DC Hilton shooter. This is not John Hinckley. This is a different one from the same hotel.
His little
walking into the cupboard regions or the kitchen regions, and he walks the canine who's seemingly alerted to this character. Then the law enforcement Muppet says, "Oh, you got a rifle? Oh, you're a weird dude with some suspenders, a tie, and a rifle. Oh, you're good, dude. You're clear." And then he walks away. And then
notice how they're clearing the runway.
Yeah, and dude, exactly, dude. They're making this guy's looking right at the camera down here in the right.
He's looking at the camera. The whole
Secret Service. These aren't the agents. These are uniformed PD secret. They work for the Secret Service.
I look good. Do I look good in this surveillance cam?
Hollywood.
Yeah, like, hey, which take? Just take 3. Like they keep telling this bald Muppet, hey, this is take 17.
I gotta shine my bald
Quit
head
looking at the camera.
Surveillance camera.
He is getting notes from the producer after this is over. It's just not good.
It's a teleprompter.
He's the one that gets shot. He's the one who gets shot here in a second in the crossfire.
Well, that's his penance for
looking at the camera so many times. They had to change up the script. They're like, now you're getting shot, buddy. We told you to quit looking at the camera. Now you're the one getting shot. Naruto Road. Dude, this Homeland Security TSA lady goes, boo.
She's panicked. She's just panicked.
Oh, dude. Well, it's reasonably so, yes, right?
What the fuck? You just walked in like that. What was the
dog doesn't give a damn though.
Well, the handler calls him off. The dog goes back in a second time. See, he's alerted to something. Probably the gunpowder.
Yeah.
What was he trying to do? Oh, he's trying to take out the president?
Well, you tell me, guy. Where were you at the other night?
Lee Harvey Oswald there.
You were the second shooter.
I did a little time travel the other day.
I used to live about a block down from that hotel, dude. I used to run by the hotel all the time. It's not far from the Society of Cincinnati headquarters. But it's weird. I don't know. That's the intersection of Connecticut Avenue and I think T Street. Used to be right across the street from the Golden Dragon. It's one of the dirtiest, filthiest strip clubs in all of Washington, D.C.
There's only one area of D.C. that's any good.
Where is this?
I don't know, whatever that area was where they ate the brain.
When you leave.
Well, the back corner of the Golden Dragon strip club is L. Ron Hubbard's birth home in the First Church of Scientology.
I thought it started in England.
Nope, started in good old Washington's D.C. according to them.
Well, you know, the claim to fame for L. Ron Hubbard was that he was a time traveler with space travel.
This is where they filmed Real World D.C. across the street from the L. Ron Hubbard house.
Yeah, that's how he got his claim to fame there, I guess.
L. Ron Hubbard's on Real World, dude. He was like our director of NASA.
No, he was in Real World House, L.A. It was a special.
Yeah, director of NASA, dude. Sean Duffy. He was in Real World. He was Real World Boston, I think.
Why can't I find this book, dude? I have
Sean Duffy's book. What are you, a Sean Duffy super fan?
Kill Your Darlings, 2024. What's that about?
Kill something, all right. Well, I want to thank you, gents, for joining me here tonight to get a little GCD. I want to thank you, folks of the interwebs, for joining us here tonight to get a little GCD. Do a little round the horn discussion minus the beef supreme. Any closing statements, questions, comments, concerns? I'm just fucking with you, Kane.
I was just
any beef supreme recipes? Where you at on that?
I just throw a little taco seasoning on it.
Little old El Paso.
Kind of that nasty old El Paso stuff in the store. Gotta make your own.
That old give me that old El Paso.
You want the salt
New York City. Remember those commercials? New York City.
Listen,
sauce is made in New York City.
You want those GMO tacos? GMO tacos.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't watch Real World, but it was definitely one of the Real Worlds. Was it Portland? Was it Boston? I don't know. These are tonight's unsolved mysteries.
Maybe he was on Real World San Francisco with Puck.
Well, that's who he married. He married Rachel from Real World.
That's where I read from the other book, the Wickham book, last night, and we got a free copy of it from the Cuck Queens over there that are all jizzing over Outcasts. That guy.
You can take your hate elsewhere, sir.
No, I'm just
what do you work for the SPLC? How much they pay you? What are you talking there?
The tubes of you are definitely headed towards porn now because OnlyFans getting shut down. They have to go somewhere. Apparently, YouTube's the hub where it's going. They're bringing all these porn actresses in, and they're doing all kinds of shit. So today they lowered the standard for nudity. Actually, as long as you're
we've lowered the standards all right around here.
They're switching it up, like show your waist, not your face. You know, they don't. Sooner or later, it'll get to the point where you care about the person that's partying, care about the ass that you're looking at.
Is this a furry porn advertisement? What are we talking
about? That's
here?
It's out of Idiocracy.
Are we? Kane, are we adding Palantir?
Did Lance Twiggs put you up to this? Did Lance Twiggs say to do this?
It's a glory hole situation.
You don't like glory holes. I'll tell you about my favorite glory hole, Lake Mary. Glory hole.
Just like ripped off the mask.
So it's a magnificent achievement in engineering. That glory hole.
That glory hole. That glorious glory hole.
That's the site of the Zodiac killings of Edward Wayne Edwards in the Hood. Man in the Hood. September 27th, 1969. And that's not tonight's. Well, we got a man down.
Shots fired.
Shots fired, indeed. Hopefully not lasers. Doc, well, I thank you again, gents. Doc, do you have any closing statements, questions, concerns? Did you want to narc somebody out? What give me a name?
No, never. I'm not a snitch. I like to deal with my stuff the street level way. Never silence. Yeah, that's what I like.
What murder?
To navigate like that. That's right. What murder?
Did you know Edgar Allan Poe was a member of the Society of Cincinnati?
I did not know that, actually.
I figured you'd enjoy that fun fact. I want to share that
I
with
did.
you.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. But thanks for bringing me on, JJ. It's much appreciated. Even though we didn't talk about the Texarkana murders.
Oh, well, that was last night, dude. I know we missed past it. We'll get back. I wanted to get back.
That's the old El Paso. That's where it's at.
You're my go-to reference on all the axe murders. I want to talk about all this kind of
you got to bring me on for a Patreon for that. You got to bring me on for a Patreon for that.
Oh, no, definitely. We'll talk for sure. You blow up my brain hole on these axe murders. As part of a social engineering campaign. I think there's a lot to be said about that.
That's my theory. Yep.
There's a lot to be said about that.
Thanks for bringing me on. Thanks for we covered a lot of ground, and it was a great show.
A lot of beats.
I wish I'd been here a little bit longer. I tried to get on with you guys, but JJ kept kicking me out.
Yeah, dude. Well, here's the deal. You were on earlier, and I told you to come back, and you came back. So I don't know what else to say, bud.
No, I was getting my nipples twisted by poor people trying.
Tom Cruise, I knew it, dude. I fucking knew it.
I got a nice dub though at the end.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you, JJ. However, what actually happened was they were working on my internet, my Wi-Fi. Literally, it went out.
What do you mean by they, dude?
What do you mean Wi-Fi? What do you mean Wi-Fi for? It's 5G, baby.
BlackRock.
Dude, who needs Wi-Fi, dude? What's Wi-Fi, dude?
I use my computer. I don't like 5G.
If you talk to some tech geek, he'll tell you it's wifey. Like,
I prefer to cook my brain.
Let's take it down a notch.
Our wifey is down.
Yeah, but anyway, they were working on my internet service, and I didn't have no connection. So
working on the night moves, Bob Seger style. I hear you, bud.
I can hear him working on it. There, chisel.
No, I'll definitely let you know, man. We'll definitely talk some action murder stuff in the future.
Hopefully, it wasn't Mossad or it's the dreaded military intelligence or PMCs.
Hopefully, it wasn't RR channel, that fucking Muppet.
Landon,
thank you, sir. What did you have any closing commentaries or whatnots?
Nah, man, it was a good show. I really enjoyed it. I like when we get on here and everybody just goes back and forth and firing off random shit. It's fun.
Fuck yeah, dude, America.
And Landon, we should talk about the bluegrass conspiracy sometime.
Yes. Let me finish reading it because I'm like halfway through it, and I got to read this. I told you I was reading the other Bechtel book by Sally Denton.
Oh yes, you did. He told you. I didn't know.
What you did on the Mormons or the Las Vegas one? Is that the Las Vegas one or the Mormons one?
No,
the Bohemian Grove one. The Bechtels are big in the Bohemian Grove.
What is it about? I'm not familiar with that.
Iran. It tied in. It ties in with Iran-Contra.
They build the bunkers, my friend. The dumbs. They build the dumbs.
Mainly I want to talk about
they build it all, dude.
Mainly I want to talk about the Flynn woman that. Mainly I want to talk about the Flynn woman that died in Lexington. You know, that's been an interest of mine because some people in my family knew her. You know, the Flynn woman that ended up getting killed by the Kentucky Lexington police, the drug division.
Who's Drew Thornton's? Who was Drew Thornton's daddy? What he do? He was an attorney. He was Cocaine Colonel Sanders' attorney.
Who I heard that Flynn had a connection to John Carpenter as well.
The movie director.
Yeah, the movie director. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised. So John Y. Brown, aka Cocaine Colonel Sanders, he's the one who he got everyone wants to say like, oh, the original Colonel
Melanie
Sanders.
Flynn was her name. Melanie Flynn was her name.
Right. She was a model, right?
Well, she was an aspiring model, but
that's what they all say, right?
That's the daughter of Mike Flynn. Trust the plan?
No.
Yeah, dude, RFK's still alive. RFK's still alive. Trust the plan.
He's coming back.
Oh, speaking of models, you got Ariana in the chat. Welcome in, Ariana. How you doing?
We're getting way off topic because I was running this thing out. I'm running out of gas, gents. I've had a long. I've had a long day. I did my hyperbaric oxygen therapy. I traveled today, dude. I'm just not gonna lie to you. I'm fading fast.
It's good to see you, JH. I hope.
Hey, good to see you, sir.
Brother. And
yes, sir. And
we'll talk some more about diabetes news here coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when's the next purge?
I believe we're doing a Sunday night.
That's not a real day.
What's her name? Stoner Detective. Maybe
might be a real
joining us
person.
for that. And you have a show already, right?
Hell yeah.
So maybe Sunday
tell me,
afternoon.
Johnny. You tell me. You know, I got a show at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
There's going to be a lot of body bags.
I mean, because you've been staggering your days, so I figured I could slip you in.
Well, here's the deal, buddy. You let me know what time I'll try to be there. If as long as I'm no Sunday, I don't have any appointment on Sunday, so I can squeeze it in on Sunday. If any other day, maybe not. We'll talk.
Yeah,
it's gonna
be it's gonna be a big one because we got a lot to talk about.
Big time.
We get some kinky stuff to
I'm not gonna be for if that's what's going on, dude. I'm not gonna make any time in my day for that shit.
It's the fast food stuff getting out of control, the scientist stuff out of control.
Well, I look forward to joining you on the next purge there, sir. And I thank you, Jen, for joining me,
I don't want to. I know you're tired, but I just want to ask you: did you find any occult stuff in the Texarkana murders? Did you find any?
Once upon a time, sir, I was down in Louisiana, about a mile from Texarkana.
Okay.
Did you play a fiddle?
It's a Creedence song. How about the Creedence?
The Creedence Clearwater.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's just like your opinion, man.
I don't know about John Faggerty. I don't know.
Well, we got 2 men down, but I appreciate you gents sticking around here. We're gonna call it in. I appreciate thanks you folks in the internet for joining us
hit
here.
Me up in the DM, JJ, and tell me what you found about the Texarkana thing.
We'll get into full blown Texarkana stuff, dude.
Hell
we'll do that. I just gotta do this.
Get both arms! Get
Come on!
Check his arm!
Get it up!
Are you raping?
Wait, hold on. Are we raping him?
Nobody's raping anybody! Where's your missing arm, motherfucker?
Hey!
Where's your missing arm, motherfucker? Oh shit, dude. We got the president's down. Mark Van Buren's down. Well, he's probably already down.
Man down, president down.
Well, thanks again, folks. In web, some only parting messages is watch out for lasers.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Ted's down, folks. Have some humanity. He got shot by lasers.
Well, that's it. That's the show here, folks. So the next time you're out on the town, visiting your local watering holes, or perhaps just meandering around, and you hear the unmistakable sounds of metal clanking, and you spot signs of a disturbance, but check your six. Look in that garbage can, 'cause you never can tell. The GCDs may be loose in your town.